Like every Monday night, you are checking out Breakfast Super Raw.
Bon appetit as Don, Tony, and Mish dish out their opinions about the world of pro wrestling, sports, news, and pop culture. Breakfast Super Raw.
And now, your host, Mish and Don Tony.
The Dream Debate happens in a little bit. What's up, everyone? It is Monday night. This is Breakfast Soup Raw, May 24th, 2021. I am Don Tony. He is
Anthony Missionary Thomas. What's going on, DT? What's going on, everyone? Hope you guys had a good weekend.
Yeah, how you doing?
Enjoying all the warmth that has been going around Chicago, and I'm pretty sure the East Coast too. I don't know. How was your weekend, man? You guys got,
it was warm Saturday. Yesterday it was warm as well, but I spent most of the afternoon and the evening in my father's garage. That's how we witnessed my goddaughter's graduation. So we actually had a nice, cool evening under the circumstances. Today it got chilly. It was only maybe 68. But it's supposed to warm up again this week. The interesting thing is, we're 5 days removed since they changed the mask guidelines here in New York. And I got to tell you, yesterday and today, pretty amazing over the weekend to see how many people walking around now without masks. First 3 days, to me, it seemed like nothing changed. But my God, once the weekend hit, looking in front of grocery stores, restaurants, everywhere, about 80% no masks.
Yeah, it's kind of like that here too. I was noticing a lot of people just roaming around Chicago with no masks on anymore at all, regardless of vaccinations or not. So I don't know if that's going to be controlled from here on out, or if people are just going to abandon the masks entirely. Kind of worried about what's going to happen with the Illinois state. At least as far as the IDs, and you have to get a special ID in order to travel, which requires you to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
So if everybody's running around with no masks on, I know for a fact that not everybody's vaccinated.
Yeah. I mean, the way the numbers are dropping drastically. I mean, I sent a few people a couple of links here in New York because I think they actually didn't believe me, or they just wanted to see for themselves. When you actually break down the positivity rate, my zip code has about 27,000 residents, and over the last 7 days, you know how many tested positive for COVID?
No. One?
Kid you
wow.
not. Kid
Very
you not.
good.
And I'm not trying
Florida's celebrating numbers too. I don't know if you caught this, but Florida's celebrating their lowest COVID rate ever right now since the break.
And, look, I talked about it last year. My parents were going to Florida before everything happened with my dad, and they said it was more odd to have a mask on than to have a mask off, like everywhere you went. And this was, right at the very beginning of vaccines coming out. So, but hey, we're coming back. WWE 25 city tour. Couple of house shows mixed in with that, some additional announcements, AEW going on the tour. Now, if anybody heard that noise, but I got to say this first. Impact Wrestling, when are you going to have fans again? Impact, you got to get fans back in your building. This aura and this shit going on with AEW has not worked. Mish, nobody wanted to report it the last 5 days because it was so embarrassing. Kenny Omega, no draft, no Biden speech, no tragedies. There's tragedies, but no mainstream, must-see coverage during Impact's airing. 111,000 viewers.
Wow.
That's disgusting. That's embarrassing. What's embarrassing also is, I know some of you Friday witnessed it live. My armrest for my chair broke. And I kid you not, I went and looked all over the place online. There is no way to fix this. And I have to lounge when we do these shows, so I actually had to order a brand new chair. I have to throw this shit out because of this. I tried taping it around, no good. believe this shit, no way to connect this back unless I want my arm to lean on metal. So, yeah, I didn't have a very good couple of days here. So
I'm sorry, man.
Someone else who has not had a pretty good couple of days, and you're going to get this pretty much exclusive because there's only, I think Cobb County's courthouse is the only one that actually released it so far, and everybody's going to. Oh, we got an arrest. I mean, I don't like celebrating arrests, but you know, if you're going to get arrested, I mean, obviously you don't want anybody else to get injured.
Well,
but if you're going to get arrested
in Cobb County, Georgia, though, right?
Yeah, and not only that, when I show you this arrest detail, it looks like Pink Floyd's greatest hits on CD. I honestly never saw, I'm not kidding, I've never seen this many charges of someone getting arrested at the same time. And for those that have no idea what I'm talking about yet, if you didn't look at the title today, but Bagwell, arrested.
Wow.
2 days ago. He is already out. You know, the charges are not extremely severe, but something tells me he will not be driving to your local arenas anytime soon to wrestle the indie scene because his driver's license has got to be taken away.
Oh, for sure.
Would you like to see? You want to see what he got busted? I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I actually made this myself. It was so big that I actually made it full screen. And I'm telling you, if I would have just put a little like divider in the middle, you could have made this into CD art. I'm not kidding. This is what he was arrested for. Giving a false name, false address, or date of birth to a law enforcement officer, speeding, failure to yield when entering an intersection. You could actually, you know what? As you all read this, and I describe it for those on audio only, you could actually picture like everything going down. If you just picture like an episode of Cops or Live PD, as you read these charges, you could pretty much picture exactly what he did. So he got failure to yield when entering an intersection, gave a false name, address, or birth date to a law enforcement officer. He was speeding, charged with a hit and run, duty of a driver to stop or return at the scene of an accident, following too closely, charged twice, reckless driving, driving within a gore or median or an emergency lane, hit and run, driving under the influence, duty upon striking a fixed object, driving on the wrong side of the road, hit and run again, following to. This is not repeated stuff. License to be carried and exhibited on demand, open container, and another hit and run. So something tells me that he might have had one or two charges prior. And maybe it wasn't enough to get him arrested. Sure. Maybe, you know what I mean? But my God, if you're going to get caught, I mean, this is like Grand Theft Auto, the video game. I mean, he's hitting medians, he's hitting people, he's speeding, following the wrong side of the road. Your Honor, my name is Mark.
So what do you think he's on? If you're hitting that many people and stuff like that, you're clearly not, unless he's really, really tired, maybe.
Well, they said open container. So he obviously was enjoying some type of alcoholic beverage.
Right.
I don't think it was Diet Pepsi. Didn't see anything about drugs, though.
Okay.
So we got to give him credit for that. No drugs, and he was let go 2 days later on bond. You know, and we've already taught everybody here the difference between bail and bond. You know, the cliff notes of it, bond is 10% of whatever the bail is when you post bond. So if you have $5,000 bond, you only have to come up with about $500. It's usually 10% of whatever your bond is. We don't know how much his bond is. I haven't even had a chance to look up what he's facing, but I will tell you at minimum he's probably going to lose his license for a year or two.
Well, does he have a prior? Does he have any kind of like priors, like DUIs or anything like that?
I do remember him getting arrested. I don't know if he was wearing the NWO shirt, but he was in the NWO at the time of his arrest. But what is that, 1998? So I really wouldn't hold a 1998 arrest against him, you know?
Right. I just wasn't sure if he had any kind of like reoccurring substance issues or drinking issues, you know, because I mean, if we were talking about Tammy, you know, us talking about Tammy going back into the jail would be like, well, what's the news this week,
Yeah.
But for somebody like Buff, yeah, you're right. You don't hear him in the in the arrest records very often. That's why I was kind of curious. Did he do any kind of programs? Does he have any kind of history with this that's just maybe not covered? Did he have any kind of rehab or something like that in the past?
Good question. I mean, I'm going to look into it. I'll see what I can find out. But obviously this guy's in some serious trouble. They probably gave him bond because we are still in COVID. And Georgia, they've lifted their restrictions a little bit, but Georgia's a little bit more screwed up in a lot of ways. Not just COVID, but anybody that looks on the news as far as crime rate, Bagwell just contributed to it. Just not in a violent way. Well, actually, it was a violent way. Using your car like that's pretty violent. So
doing hard time.
I'm telling you, man, not very good on his behalf. Not very good. But how's everybody doing tonight? We had Raw.
I'm doing good. Yeah. Raw was all right. Raw had some hit and misses tonight. There was a couple of real nice hits, or at least as far as I'm concerned. I'm a big fan of this whole Shelton push that looks like it's going on. The idea of Shelton being the big guy. I was actually surprised that Corey even kind of flipped his own script and was like cheering on Shelton tonight. That was very Ivan Drago versus Rocky Russian audience participation kind of verse.
Isn't that usually the kiss of death, though? Like when Corey Graves goes against the grain, does it feel like Shelton Benjamin's momentum is going to stay like that? I
don't know. Cedric brought up, he's like, you don't have much time left. How much time do you actually have? And I mean, that's something that I think we've even brought up before, too, that Shelton's not going to be a guy who's going to be in WWE till he's 60. I don't think anybody imagines Shelton to be that guy. But the idea of Shelton kind of going up the ranks a little bit, and they were right. They did hit on the point. Shelton Benjamin is a veteran. He's a recognizable name. He's a fucking talented athlete. He's always been just superb in the ring. So, the fact that he gets a little limelight here and there, there's nothing wrong with that. And right now, Raw is at the rebuilding stages because that's what they do after apparently that's what they do after WrestleMania Backlash. But at the same point, you're kind of hoping that Shelton Benjamin gets a little spot in the sun before, he eventually takes some time off or, lets the contract run out.
My only problem with tonight was Cedric Alexander cut the same exact promo last week or the week before.
Yeah,
he said the same exact thing. And I remember the match only went 2 minutes. And Adnan is like, the combination of a few, this and that. And we're like, that's it? I mean, somebody decided this week, and look, I'm not saying that matches were bad today. Some of the matches were pretty damn good.
They weren't.
But this is WWE. Let me put it this way. Over the years, we have said many times that sometimes you can miss an episode and you really didn't miss anything. Honestly, if you missed today's episode, with the exception of one announcement, one match that was made for Hell in a Cell, which could very well still be tweaked. I don't know.
Sure.
If you missed this episode and watched Raw next week, you really didn't miss anything.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, you can't forget about Eva Marie's new vignette, where apparently Eva Marie is the new DDP.
I mean,
that's what it looks like.
Is this now the trolling? Is this basically like a mockery, like it's all in her head? I mean,
well, here's the thing. All right, so on the legitimate side, DT, she kind of did have like this training gym before she came back to WWE. She did have like this training program that she was doing, but they incorporated it tonight into one of her vignettes. They kind of showed off her outfit wear and stuff like that, and they showed her working out and lifting weights. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, are they going to try and turn Eva Marie into Diamond Dallas Page? Is DDP Yoga going to be replaced by Eva Marie Calisthenics?
No, thank you. By the way, if you all keep seeing me looking this way, I have my screen a little bit different tonight. Chat room is this way. So I'm not.
Right. But my eyes are all over the place because I have 3 screens. So if you guys see me looking all over the place, it's because I have.
Yeah, I tried to organize things a little bit better today, but when I got the DM, got a big arrest to talk about. And I was like, who? And like, Bagwell. I'm like, that's not a big arrest. They're like, yeah, when you see what he got arrested for, it's pretty detailed. So that kind of consumed me at the very end. You know, but the Eva Marie thing, like when she was talking about being an actress, they showed a scene of her just standing at a bar.
Right.
She was literally just standing at a bar.
Right.
You know, so it almost feels like there's a little bit of a mockery here. I just don't want it to be another Emelina. Because, you know, Emelina, that was what, like 18 weeks?
What about like a Simon Dean?
I don't think people care that deep for Eva Marie that a Simon Dean would work, you know?
I mean, Simon Dean didn't really work for Nova, for those of us that even remember the Simon Dean gimmick, because that was such a flash in the pan. But the idea of an evil aerobics instructor, I don't know. Eva Marie, a female that could do that she would wrestle women or she would make examples out of women in order to push and shill her product.
You want to know something? True story. I was one of the idiots that called that phone number thinking I could actually buy the Simon Dean package. I'm not kidding. When he offered the video and the supplements and everything, I actually called the number.
You didn't.
I swear on my mother. Really? I was going to buy it as a goof. I mean, I always liked him, you know, from his work at BWO and, you know, he had his twin brother that, you know, worked here in Northeast. You know, I knew his twin brother more than him. But, yeah, when they put that thing on for sale, the Simon system, I think it was, I actually called the number to buy it, but no, it wasn't real.
Did you call up for the blowaway diet from Playboy Buddy Rose, too?
No, I was too young for that. And honestly, I actually kind of liked this diet at the time. Give me some pizza and hang out and just sit on my ass and play Atari and ColecoVision. Hell yeah. Now, listen. First of all, I'll tell you my favorite photo moment of the night. I absolutely thought that this was priceless. This.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Look. I know a lot of you miss like the retro DT, but DT grows up, you know. But sometimes I go into some dark areas, and I'm looking at this and I'm trying to say to myself, which scenario would be more realistic? Like somebody's dog who went into somebody's garbage and they came home and they found the dog like hiding behind a wall or something, and the dog looks up and the master is pissed off like, you motherfucker, what did you do? Peanut, what did you do, God damn it? Or is this like, who was the actress, Farrah Fawcett Majors, when she was in the burning bed? Was it her like hiding behind a barricade before she got the shit knocked out of her? I mean, I'm not saying it to be funny. I mean, you know, abuse is no joke. But I'm saying, like, I'm looking at the scenario and I'm getting flashbacks of pets doing bad things and hiding out, or wife abusers. I don't know. Right. I don't know. But, you know, if I was hiding somewhere, I mean, that's almost like a horror film also. Like Jason or Freddy or someone, you know, like instead of just running away, no, they hide in the next room in a box.
Oh, it's a good shot. It's a real good shot. Like the camera guys had some wins and losses tonight. You know, catching Shayna and Nia talking to each other wasn't exactly very clever. No. But yeah, that was a good shot. Just that looming overcast of almost just standing right over them. That was pretty good, man.
I do not like when they milk weeks. I mean, I understand we just had WrestleMania Backlash, but you know, when you do things like you do tonight, you really don't have much of anything else. And the funny thing about it is, you and I had this conversation last week that we really believe that Hell in a Cell is truly this year's WrestleMania. In the sense, I'm sorry for repeating myself, but I know some people are tuning in tonight that didn't tune in last week. But in the sense that usually WrestleMania happens and a lot of feuds end. And then sometimes we get some new storylines, new feuds, some shifts, surprises, this and that. And the day after WrestleMania this year was very uneventful. The SmackDown after Mania was very uneventful. And once WWE, because when they announced the July events, you know, this wasn't just done a couple of days ago. It was made official a couple of days ago. But back in April, for Mania, they were already negotiating with a lot of different states as far as, making a return. And I think once they realized they legitimately were going to come back in July, because there were a couple of websites reporting the middle of July, I think they said, you know what, instead of really shifting things the night after WrestleMania, let's do it after Hell in a Cell. Because the match that we thought we were originally going to have at Mania, which would have featured Charlotte, did not happen. And literally the day after, Charlotte is back in the picture. And then they announced today we're getting this at Hell in a Cell. Now,
right.
Asuka, I think they could have done a little bit of a better job on TV today, but Asuka beat Charlotte last week. But when the match was over, Asuka kept holding like her midsection or her knee, acting like she's in excruciating pain. And they should have done something simple where you have the doctors in the back that say, there's no way I understand Hell in a Cell is still a long ways away, but they didn't even mention why Asuka would not be in this match, which tells me that we could end up still having Asuka added to it. But this extra weeks of milking is just like, we don't have any really good storyline to push right now. Hence, AJ Styles versus Jaxson Ryker today, which really, didn't do much of anything. Kofi Kingston.
As far as we'll pause for a second, because as far as talking about Charlotte and Rhea, I know it's whatever. So as far as Charlotte and Rhea going at it in Hell in a Cell, and the idea of Asuka being in there, what about Nikki? They kind of threw her out there tonight as kind of like a return. Here's something. Here's a person you haven't seen in a while. Let's have a match with her. Do you think that there's anything on the trail of Nikki at all, or is this just
no?
Here she is until they get rid of her? Because right now the women's division could use a little freshening up. There's more than a few women that aren't on the roster currently that WWE could absolutely use. So the fact that Nikki's back and she's actually already going up against Rhea, and probably next week she'll be going up against Charlotte, I would assume after tonight.
Right.
Do you kind of see something with her coming in as the underdog?
No. Honestly, it just feels more like the Humberto Carrillo thing. Like, we'll put someone back on TV and see if they could gain a little bit of momentum. You look at Sheamus. Who else is he going to feud with right now? They already burned through Jeff Hardy. Riddle and Orton are, busy doing their thing.
Right.
Mansoor, I guess they weren't very comfortable after his match because he didn't even come out today to join the party with Ricochet and Humberto Carrillo. So it just feels like they're just throwing a couple of names out there. But the problem is...
Isn't that what they're supposed to be doing right now? Because we talked about this before. The time after WrestleMania is all about rebuilding WWE. It's about trying new names and seeing what sticks. So seeing guys out there like Mansoor, seeing like Nikki, seeing like a bunch of other people that we don't normally see, are we just going to write them off as a one and done? Or do you think that this is the time that WWE will use to try something with them and see if it works?
Well, I'll tell you the problem with it right off the bat. Viking Raiders, Jinder Mahal, Shanky, and whatever the guy's other name is.
Yes.
It's obvious that they one thing that I have noticed with WWE, and look, with the return of live crowds and some house shows coming back, some of these people will get work. There's no question. But one thing that WWE has been doing a really poor job of, and again, this is why I was never against releases, but what they have done a poor job of is managing people on TV. You bring back Jinder, you introduce, his new crew, and he's out there 1 week and disappeared for 2. I bring it up on NXT every week now because it feels like a running joke now. Xia Li is off TV now almost 2 months. It's almost 2 months. months she's off TV. And she's putting pictures of T and Shah and this and that. And people are online. They're like, yeah, okay. Okay. All right. You know, it's you know what I mean? Like, people are like, it's turning into a mockery. And, you know, how do you bring these people on TV and then take them off for a couple of weeks? And then you throw Nikki Cross, and look, I'm not against Nikki Cross being on TV.
Experimentation. I mean, I think you're looking too deeply into it. I know you hate that, because it's kind of like the premise of that idea is that WWE is just throwing things against the wall with no purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that that's actually what's going on. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I think the unpurpose is to see how the fans react, to see how social media reacts, because we don't have live fans.
Yeah.
And while the Thunderdome is nice, news flash for everyone, all the audience cheers are piped in. So there's no authenticity to the response of who they have in the ring. So more so this year than even last year, but more so this year, they're trying everything that they can and using up people just to see the responses.
Right.
So when Jinder Mahal comes out there and Twitter is full of, oh, fuck this guy, jeez, I'm so done with him, that's why you don't see Jinder on TV for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if somebody comes out there like Nikki and they're like, oh, it's nice to see Nikki back. Where the fuck has Nikki been? Holy shit, it's Nikki, guys. All of a sudden, you're going to see her on TV more, because that's exactly what happened when people saw her in the Lumberjack match. If you looked at social media was like, oh, why the fuck is Nikki in the Lumberjack match? Holy shit.
Yeah,
and so now she's back on TV more. It's a lot simpler than where you can't look at the time right now. At least this is how I felt for the last few years or whatever. You can't look at the time after WrestleMania as being a definitive course of where these people are going to go. For a month or two, it's going to be chaos. It's always a little bit of chaos. I think it's weird that within the chaos, they're doing Hell in a Cell first, but maybe it makes more sense to do Money in the Bank down the road when they already have an idea of who they want to win those briefcases. Right. Because right now, it is still up in the air. It's pretty much WWE versus the internet wrestling community. That's what it is right now.
But if they relied strictly on the internet wrestling community, Jinder would have no chance of coming back. Jaxson Ryker would not be on TV right now. You know, like,
they still got fans, dude, and you know that for a fact.
Yeah.
As crazy as Jinder Mahal is to us, I know, and I've seen some really hardcore dedicated Jinder fans out there. They exist. I don't know why, but they exist. That's what it is. I think right now everything is a testing ground. Like, if WWE changed Hell in a Cell to testing ground, it would make more sense as to what's going on right now.
Cruiserweight, I appreciate your super chat. He counted 8 recaps and 9 times they mentioned going back on tour.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
It's a lot of filler tonight.
It's a lot of filler. Absolutely, it's a lot of filler. Look, MVP cut it in his promo also. But this is a big deal. I mean, it's not just the financial aspect, but it's also the emotional aspect. And pro wrestling is meant to be in front of a live audience. That's what wrestling is. Just like baseball or any other sport out there, there's home field advantage, there's revenue from merchandise, shirts. You know, a lot of people, you know, this is why I really don't pay attention to social media with this stuff. But even if you just think merchandise for a minute, you know, it's
look at Roman Reigns on Friday. Roman Reigns on Friday is like, look at my shirt.
Right.
This is the shirt I'm selling. And I'm laughing my ass off. I'm like, Jesus, is that a little on the nose there, Roman?
Right. But that's the thing.
This is you in the middle of my shirt, Daniel Bryan. This is you on the bottom.
Look, I bought this shirt a while back to show my support for Velveteen Dream, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. You know, but I've also bought shirts in the past with the intention I'm wearing it at a wrestling event. And for the wrestlers out there who do make less, that are not on the road, that are not making house show revenue, that are not selling that many shirts, because if there's no events and people are just lingering around the house, and especially with COVID, money's not coming in like it normally is, and now with all the price going sky high, a lot of people are making next to nothing on merchandise revenue. So there's so many aspects of returning to shows. That's why I thought it was almost criminal last year to see people clickbaiting about, that WWE and wrestling will never go back to house shows ever again. I mean, that's just, to me, that's the lowest of the low, And let me also.
I mean, if you really think about it, they're probably going to save a lot of money by not doing house shows anymore. And because we've had a year plus off from live events, I mean, they can really get away with it because any wrestling at this point is a good time. I know that people have their lines drawn in the sand between which companies that they want to support, but it doesn't matter. If AEW comes live to your town or WWE comes live to your town and you have a chance to attend, people are just going to fucking go. Yeah. And now that and now even more so now with a competing company, I think house shows even mean a little less. I think they do. I think you're more focused on your week-to-week priorities, especially when you have 3 shows a week or 9 shows a week or however you want to look at it, depending on how many different wrestling promotions you enjoy. So the idea of house shows, it's almost antiquated.
Yeah.
It's antiquated because of where we are.
Absolutely. I just want to mention this quickly.
Shoot.
I want to get it out of the way. I just want to make sure nobody super chatted this. Keith Lee. I'm going to say this once, okay? Because Keith Lee wrote on social media today, to the people offering uplifting words, know that I appreciate you greatly. And worry not, when I say I am limitless, I mean it. I will try to find a way to explain everything in the most efficient way possible. Give me a little more time. I said this last week and the week before on that Thursday show. I remember it clearly. People out there, leave the fucking guy alone. The guy went through some health issues. It obviously brings you down emotionally as well. And this is very, very private for him and very fragile. And, I understand the curiosity factor. I know a lot of people want to know, as do I. I don't know everything. But when I wrote last week, finally, and I wrote the 3 letters, some of the information that came in was a lot more positive. But as I said, the only person that should be talking about Keith Lee's situation is Keith Lee. And if that's something that he doesn't bring publicly, whether because he chooses not to or if WWE puts the choke on him that he can't say anything, if you really care, leave it alone. I'm not going to speculate.
Yeah, but
I'm not going to guess. I have an idea, but to me,
saying that fans are different though. While you can sit there and restrain yourself from asking someone questions when it's private, because you understand that
I don't blame. I agree with you. I don't blame fans.
Be able to. That's what I was going to say.
I'm just saying, don't ask me. You know what I mean? Because I'm not gonna go there without. Put it this way. Right. This is serious enough.
Fans are going to ask him. See, and that's the whole thing. And the only reason I was going to segue off of that was fans are going to ask him, how is he doing? How are you feeling? We care about you. When are you coming back? What's the doctor's prognosis? Like, they're going to keep asking him and badgering him about this until either A, he comes out and says something very definitive, or B, he returns and everything goes back to normal. I mean, that's the state that he's in, but you can't tell fans what to do and not to do.
Right. I'm not telling him. I'm just saying as far as me. See, like JD, like he did a podcast earlier, and he addressed the rumors that WWE released Keith Lee. Right. Now, he clearly told everyone that those rumors are not true, okay?
Right.
So that's cleared up. Me, how I feel about it is, I don't know anybody credible that has said to me, oh, WWE released Keith Lee. Could very well happen. Could very well happen. Could very well that they gave him his release. I don't want to say similar to Lars Sullivan, but, a lot of people still to this day think that Lars Sullivan got fired. Lars Sullivan requested his release. I mean, it's big difference there. But the thing is that, obviously JD deals with a lot more sources than I do, and he gets inundated with all of these people out there throwing a lot of bullshit, and I'm glad he cleared it up. But the fact still remains, the only people that know are him, probably me and him, the people closest to him, WWE management. That is it. That is it. So I don't blame any fan for being curious and concerned.
Well, it's not even just I was going to say it's not even just curiosity. Curiosity can go fuck itself.
I'm concerned too.
Concerned. I mean, we're talking about a pandemic, and then we're talking about some people's favorite wrestler. Period. Yeah. So you put the two hand in hand, back to back, and of course, being in Florida most of the time and everything else like that, I'm sure people have a lot of concerns for Keith Lee.
I hope the best for that guy. I think we will find out something sooner than later. Like I said, I don't want to speculate. I have an idea, and I will say this. If what I've been told is remotely close of what's going on, everyone in the end will say, okay, I understand why, you didn't want to talk about this. You know what I mean? So we'll find out in time. We'll find out and contrary to what Bruce Mitchell thinks in his warped mind, we're not entitled for an explanation. But I understand a lot of people legitimately concerned, and you should be concerned. So I got to mention this too. We weren't sure the other day, and I said I didn't want to really talk about it until I actually got more information. And a lot of the local papers in the Carolinas are talking about it more than anything else. Don Kernodle, which a lot of you remember more for his days, in the early 80s, teaming with Slaughter, feuding with the Jay Youngblood and Ricky Steamboat. For me, like I said on Friday, my weirdest, fondest memory of Kernodle, I shouldn't say fondest, but my weirdest, most visible memory ever of Don Kernodle was when Jimmy Snuka had the feud with Magnificent Morocco. And Magnificent Morocco was on Buddy Rogers' corner. Buddy Rogers! And he's doing his whole thing. And then Jimmy Snuka walks to the ring. And then Morocco rips the headband off. He's on my time. And then Morocco goes to ringside. Snuka dives over because Morocco spit at him. He hits him in the head, the big red censored X. And that obviously led to the feud, which culminated in the cage match in Madison Square Garden, which launched the careers for a lot of people in their minds. But when Snuka was in the ring, when Morocco spit on him, and before Snuka dove over that top rope, I always remembered Snuka's opponent for that match was supposed to be Don Kernodle. Don Kernodle was on the opposite side of that ring when everything went down. A lot of people don't know that. But unfortunately, I'm saying this with a smile because I want to be left with a fond memory of Don Kernodle. And yes, most of us out there haven't thought of the guy in years and years and years, but I did find out that it was true. Don Kernodle did commit suicide. And Jeez. I'm not trying to be dramatic here. Anybody that follows my shows, no, I don't even need to say this. It's common sense. But when I got more of the details, it really hit home for me. Because what happened was Meltzer brought it up a little bit. Then I researched the local papers, and I got more. Don Kernodle went and had heart tests done, stress tests and other things, and they found that he had some serious heart issues, didn't have much time remaining, probably would need major heart surgery. He was either a sheriff or he was in law enforcement. He was part of the police department. When he got the news about his heart ailment, he killed himself. So that rattles my brain because it was only 3 months ago that my father, anybody ever seen pictures of him, triple degree black belt, one of the most fit people I've ever known in my life, walks in for a simple stress test, ends up laid on the floor, he thinks he's only getting 1 or 2 stents in his heart, just to find out 24 hours later that he had the Widowmaker. And I never knew back then when they called Barry Windham the Widowmaker, I thought, okay, he beats up wrestlers and kills them and makes the wives widows. I never knew that there was a heart valve called the Widowmaker, that if you have an issue with the Widowmaker, they call it the Widowmaker because the chance of survival is almost nothing. They told my father that he had to get coronary artery bypass surgery, and his problem was the Widowmaker. And if this was not detected within a few months, he would have been gone. So you get news like that. I mean, I could only imagine what happened with Don Cornoodle that day. But, you know, there's a lot of nice little tributes online from people, and it's not just because of wrestling. It's because the work he done afterwards. And I know most of you out there, and obviously nothing wrong with that. You younger fans out there probably never heard of the guy before. But when you hear about somebody from yesteryear, not only passing, but then you find out that it's suicide, you know, that's rough, man. That's
Right.
rough. That's rough. So I just wanted to mention it. I promised everyone I would look into it and get the answers. So thank you, Cruiserweight, for this. Main event results: Ricochet beat Ali, 2 out of 3 falls match, 2 falls to 1. Okay, I'm going to go seek that out. Ricochet and Ali have been doing some great stuff on main event. I don't understand why they won't put that on main TV.
I don't know.
I don't understand.
Maybe that's down the road. Maybe that's just something that they're trying out too. I need to start watching main event a little bit more, honestly, because you're right. They do have some good matches on there.
Happy birthday, Mark Anderson. 30.
Yeah.
You bastard. You bastard. I'm 30 with about 20 years experience. Oh, man, 30 years old. Jesus Christ. I was doing I was doing hotlines at 30. I had started right before I was 30. And
I was listening to the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle show at 30.
Oh, how old was I when Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle started? I was about
I was
36.
30, dude.
About 35, 36. You know, when I started
I'm 43
that?
now.
Huh?
I'm 43 now, so 13 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been doing a wrestling soup for 11 years. So 2 years before that, it was the Don, Tony, Kevin Castle show. It was already past Minority Report.
Oh, it's
was
for your
already-
age. Yeah, okay, yeah. Because I forgot. You're 10
yeah.
years younger. Well, about 10 years younger
Right.
than me, you bastard.
Right.
Good, Mark Anderson. Congrats, man. Seriously. You know what?
Hey, Doug.
Yeah, if you want, email me, dontony@dontony.com. We'd love to send you maybe like shirt and some other stuff for your birthday. For real. So no smoking. By the way,
Enjoy your birthday, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you had a good weekend. Like maybe you had a nice little party, maybe some grilling.
yeah.
You know, that's what you should do on the weekend before your birthday.
What do you think about this idea from Dorian Moore? Bobby Lashley versus John Cena, Money in the Bank, because there are a lot of rumors that Cena is coming back for a little while. And let me tell you something.
His show's doing well, or his movie's doing well. With the
His
Fast and
movie's
Furious.
doing well. Yeah. His shows are doing okay. Mish, I got to tell you, I mean, I remember in the early 2000s when we called everything the Triple H show because of how much this person was on TV. He would have like 6 segments of show, and every week. John Cena, once they went past Thugonomics and he was Super Cena and just forcing. I mean, when Roman Reigns was getting shitted on, and to me, almost the peak was when Rock held his arm in the air and Roman Reigns had the bloody mouth, and Rock's got this look on his face like, what the fuck is going on with this crowd? I'm raising this guy's hand. If I raise fucking Trump's hand, you should be popping. You know what I mean? Like anybody. And if you would have told me 10 years ago that Kofi would be WWE heavyweight champion or John Cena would be one of the most beloved wrestlers, period,
Well, the John Cena thing, there's a caveat there.
Right. I know.
And the only reason I'll throw in the caveat was even the people that hated seeing John Cena on TV every week respected the guy because he was in the Make-A-Wish stuff every other week too. Like, as far as a person went, John Cena has always been a charity-minded, forward-minded individual that did the right thing as far as a chairperson for the company, as far as a spokesman or an ambassador, if you have it. As far as him being on TV, yeah, he made a lot of people sick. He made a lot of people sick with his overly saturated baby face image that really didn't help matters when you were coming off of the transition of the Attitude Era and ruthless aggression, and
ruthless
you're coming off
aggression.
Right.
That sounds more like Vince than anything.
You come out with just a toned, deaf John Cena super baby face that doesn't lose. Like I said, as far as the fans went, there was a lot of splits because the younger audience loved John Cena. Older audience, not so much. We were a lot more baked in our ways because of what we saw from the WWF, WCW days. But as far as a person goes, I don't think anybody really shit on John Cena as a person.
I think people were a little unsure.
Right.
Early on, I think people were a little unsure. But, obviously it's social media, how friendly he is, uplifting, always inspirational messages that you could tell he's not just pulling it out of a book.
I think that's what made it worse, is because even though that was his gimmick a lot of the time, being the super baby face, I think it was because a lot of us believed that he believed it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds like a double negative or whatever, but it's a double positive. We believed that he actually believed the shit that he was shoveling.
Right.
And it was just kind of, I don't know, it didn't sit well with a lot of people in the 2000s. It didn't sit well with...
I wouldn't mind this match. I would not mind Lashley versus Cena Money in the Bank. But I ask you this. Would you have a problem if Cena beat Lashley for the belt?
Is Cena going to be the next Rock? Is that what we're doing now? Is Cena going to be the guy that's going to sit around for a year? Or is Cena literally becoming the guy that he hated on for years? Because, we forget that John Cena shit all over The Rock for taking The Rock and leaving. Went off to do movies, went off to do TV, and now Cena's doing the same thing. He's got he's got a game show or 2 game shows, right? He's got 2 game shows. He's got a superhero show. He's in the Fast and the Furious. Like, John Cena has become the thing he hates. So it would be interesting if John Cena won the title and left with it, because you could build a storyline around John Cena becoming a heel because now he's Mr. Hollywood too.
I'm
just saying. I'm just saying. If you want to talk
when Rock
about
went Hollywood with his wrestling character, that was fucking phenomenal, man.
But that's what I'm saying is you have John Cena do something like that, and one day somebody like The Rock comes back and goes, funny.
Well, that's instant storyline. You could have Roman Reigns feud with Cena, and Roman Reigns could simply say, you used to rip my uncle, for doing Hollywood and everything, and you became the very thing that you hated. But meanwhile, I'm here. I work. Whoever they put Cena up with, Lashley could cut that promo. Hell, Cedric Alexander could cut that promo with his, raspy voice. So that's perfect storyline. They don't even need to come up with anything. But I will tell you this.
It's literally recycling the storyline. But the only reason that it would hit harder, though, DT, is because all the grief that John Cena gave The Rock, all the WrestleMania matches in Miami and the back and forth for a year. Like, I'm sorry. All the grief that John Cena gave The Rock, it's absolutely a baked-in storyline if somebody pulled that same card on John Cena.
Now, when you said recycling shit, I have to vent on something in a second, but to answer Chris, when do I think Lashley will lose the championship, or how long do we think he'll hold it? I think he'll hold it throughout part of the summer. I think Roman Reigns holds it a lot longer than Bobby Lashley does.
I don't know. Bobby Lashley's doing okay with it. Unless something bad happens, knock on wood, nobody wants that. I think Bobby Lashley is a good candidate to hold it for a minute. Hold it for a nice long minute, because I don't see anybody racing to take it away from Bobby Lashley. Like, there's nobody. I mean, there's a storyline potential of Bobby Lashley losing it, but other than that, other than maybe a Shelton Benjamin for a 1 month thing or a 1 week thing, I can't see Bobby Lashley losing the title to anybody that's being built up. Like, who's being built up? Big E? Big E's over on SmackDown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kevin Owens is on SmackDown.
Well,
like,
the draft.
As far as Raw goes, well, yes. Okay, you're right. The draft will be interesting. But if we're talking about in a non-draft world, right now, I don't see too many people running into that on Raw. Yeah. You know?
Well, they're going to do the draft version once they. I think, you know, it could very well happen before they do live crowds. And in fact, that would kind of make sense more. Get the rosters exactly the way you want them right before you start touring. Get some of the feuds that you want lined up, some of the matches, some of the feuds that you wanted to do but don't seem to be working out. You know, they can mess around with that a little bit.
I know you haven't gotten to it yet, but Genesis might have called out the fucking the closing storyline for this whole Cena thing that Chris Silva brought up. So he did a little donation to you, and he said Miz already called out Cena for pulling a Rock. Now that's pretty amazing considering
Miz
we all remember
the same thing.
John Cena and Nikki Bella versus the Miz and Maurice storyline. Yeah. Oh wow, dude. Like, if they could find a way to pull that all together, that could be a fun storyline. That could be a fun fucking feud. Because not only is it involving people that are entertaining, it's also involving a storyline that's been going on for how many years, CT? Technically 4, 5, 6 years.
The funny
I
thing
mean, if you
is,
want to go back to The Rock, you know,
Miz could be the next following that path. Because when Rock, Rock, when he first did Scorpion King, he was still wrestling pretty much, and little by little, it started getting less and less and less. Miz is still wrestling. I mean, you know, obviously he's out right now, but you know, who knows? A couple of years from now.
Like, you brought up Roman Reigns, but him bringing up the Miz as being a guy who calls out Cena on this shit, that could be really interesting, especially considering that Miz and Maurice lost the feud between Nikki and Cena, and now after all this shit, Nikki's not really around with John Cena anymore. You know, John Cena's went on to do his own career. I could see somebody rubbing a little dirt in Cena's face. I could see Miz doing that.
It's
you know,
storyline. It makes sense too.
Right. Oh, where's your wife? Oh, that's right. She didn't marry you. Where's your baby?
Ask you this. Let me ask you this. You think Roman Reigns would ever follow the path of Cena, Batista, The Rock, Miz? You think Roman Reigns? Because I feel like Roman Reigns is destined to be a movie star.
Oh, you mean on TV? Yeah, he's a Jason Momoa knockoff. Come on. You can't see Jason Momoa when you look at Roman Reigns? I mean...
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I know he's done a little bit already, but I mean, like, you know,
he'll be an action star. He's not going to be a comedy star. He's not going to be a Rock. He's not even going to be a John Cena, but he'll definitely be an action star. I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Roman Reigns ends up being the stuntman for a Jason Momoa. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but he's got the look. He's got a Hollywood look about him. I can definitely see that. But as far as acting goes, I haven't seen anything from Roman that would prove to me that he could be on a level to, you know, sustain audiences that way. So,
shout out to Philip Maffey. Philip, thank you for the super chat. Wanted to shout out everyone else, and he got his COVID shot on Friday. Knocked him for a loop, so he was in bed for most of the weekend.
Jeez,
so I hope you're feeling better now.
Yeah.
3 days removed, you should start feeling a little bit of relief. I think I told you Friday to take a Tylenol. I don't know how much it helped, but I hope you're doing better, man. Well, Tylenol helped me tremendously. I mean, I still had some headache and chills when I got, you know, it sucks, man. I mean, yeah, I could brag that I was the first podcaster to be vaccinated, which is true. Out of all, like, the mainstream, I was the first one. But now I'm kind of regretting it because before you know it, I need a booster shot. I mean, I'm vaxxed fully since February, March, April, May. We're approaching almost 4 months since I'm going to be vaccinated. And I'm like, damn, they're saying booster shots like 6 to 8 months. Like, I'm going to need a booster. Yeah, hurry up with this fucking booster shot, man. But, I hope you're feeling better. And everyone out there, I just hope everybody is being safe, whether you're vaccinated or not. You see the numbers out there. Here's where you're going to start getting a lot of truth. So you're going to hear about the rumors of this Wuhan lab. That was the source of it. It was always the source of it. But people are going to be like, you know what? We're out of this fucking pandemic, and that's what matters. That July 4th will be, for us in the United States, July 4th will be the superficial day that the pandemic is over.
Look, I don't mean to put a damper on anything, but it's difficult for me to just bite on the fact that we're all better now when India and South America are going through
they need a lot, man. Dude.
India is depressing.
I just heard about some of the wrestlers in New Japan that tested positive, and I brought this up Friday. I think it's only 3% of Japan is vaccinated. How the fuck is that possible? I mean, somebody told me that last week, like it's only like 2 to 3%, and I started looking into it. I'm like, Japan? I could understand if it was Bubblejistan in somewhere that, in the remote area of the world that they don't even have electricity. But Japan,
do you want to know why?
How is that?
Do you want to know why? Because they actually listen to what their government says. When they ask them to wear masks and stay indoors and be isolated, they actually fucking do it. That's the difference between America and Japan, is that when there's a health warning in their country, they take it fucking seriously. We turn it into politics and religion and critical race theory and God knows what other gaslit things we've turned it into. It's everybody else's fault but mine, and it's a different structure. I mean, look at the nuclear meltdown that they had, dude. They didn't repair it, but they fixed a 4-reactor meltdown. It was a quad reactor or something like that meltdown, and they fixed it within a few years. Like they reversed the radiation damage in a few years.
It's crazy. My thoughts are with everyone out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm just saying I'm worried about India. I mean, because it's just you hear about, like, I know Vice put out something, CNN put out a couple things too. I know that there's a few other news organizations that put it out, but India's in a lot of trouble, and it's not even about COVID. It's about they don't even have the basic necessities to just keep people clean and safe.
Yeah.
So it's like once you do get sick, it's really like, well, you're kind of on your own, Yeah. But sorry, I don't mean to drag.
No. I mean, it's real world, man. I mean, it's nothing wrong with talking about it once in a while. Obviously, we don't want to take over the show with that, but always got to keep the real world, in perspective. Not everything is, AEW and pro wrestling and this and that. I mean, we really got a lot of other things to deal with, but, that's why, somebody brought it up to me the other day that WWE went to Houston right after 9/11 happened. I mean, it was already on the schedule, but they're going to be in Houston pretty much coming back from COVID also. I mean, obviously, I don't compare COVID to a terrorist attack, even though some people kind of like equate the two in some way. But, it's one thing is a common denominator. When you have tragedy, you always go to the things that give you the most comfort, the most escape. And for a lot of us out there, whether it's talking, podcasting, watching, wrestling is a lot of our escape. And it is for the wrestlers also. So to be able to go on the road again and, just be able to tour and, WWE is going to make everybody sign disclaimers, which is necessary because they don't want to start getting hit with crazy-ass lawsuits if someone catches COVID. Oh, I was by a concession stand and someone gave me COVID. Well,
I don't think you can, though. Can you?
It's, what it is? It depends on the states. The problem is...
How do you pinpoint it? That's what I'm saying.
Well, it's very difficult. The problem is when someone gets a lawyer, and that there's money-hungry lawyers out there that will sue for anything. Fucking Captain Lenny used to sue me for bullshit and never even met the guy, ever. So the point is, you get the right state, the right circumstance. Somebody says, WWE had unsafe conditions, this and that, especially that a lot of states still have some guidelines going on. But then again, I told everyone that WWE was going to focus on the states that were the most laxed, but also had some very good numbers with the COVID right now. But still, you get a lawyer and they tie up the court system. You know, they hire, if WWE brings whatever that guy's name is.
McDivitt?
Yeah, McDivitt.
Jerry
McDivitt.
Yeah.
You know, you pay lawyers a couple $100 an hour to fight bullshit like this, and then that's all you need is to have another moron like, hey, class action lawsuit. You know, if anybody got COVID from there, and like you said, how could you pinpoint it? Right. You know, I could have went to a WWE event and then went out
at McDonald's beforehand. Somebody sneezed on your burger.
You know? Or I went to, you know, after party and went to a bar, or, you know, stood at a hotel because I went out of state.
It's a 14-day incubation period too. It's like trying to sue somebody over COVID has got to be almost impossible.
Dude, that's what got me so angry about that jerk at WrestleMania, that just to get attention on social media was like, dude, I went to WWE night 1 and today, now I feel like I have COVID. And then later in the day, I got tested positive with COVID, but fuck it, I'm still going. And even though he admitted he went to like 2 other indie wrestling shows the same day as night 1, no one ever stopped to say, wait a minute. How did this guy get symptoms and test positive all within, it's not even 24 hours. If you got a rapid test, it would take a couple of hours. You got to get the appointment. It's like the guy's out of town, and it just didn't make sense, but nobody bought it.
The problem was he had it before he even got there.
Yeah.
Didn't realize it. Started feeling like shit, and then it's like, WWE.
I don't even think he had it. I don't even
that
think he
could
had
be
it.
too. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I just figured he had it before he even got there. Because, I mean, you're talking about up to 14 days as an incubation period. Getting it within a few hours of being there, like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know. So, do you want to fill in the rest of the blanks for Raw? And then we'll have a little convo about Velveteen Dream. And before we do King of Games 405, what's up, my brother? He says he can't believe it's nearly 10 years since CM Punk and John Cena Money in the Bank. That's pretty wild, man. Because I remember even doing shows with this man, and he was ecstatic because he's nuts. Yeah. I mean, is CM Punk your all-time favorite?
No, Roddy Piper will always be my all-time favorite. But CM Punk, as far as favorites go, top 5, easily. So,
yeah, that's pretty wild, man. It's years fly by. I mean, I know it sounds depressing for a lot of people out there, but years fly by.
He should have been back by now. He could have fucking turned this whole shit around. Maybe now it's a little late. Now we're getting to the dusk of CM Punk popularity. But about 5 years ago, if he would have popped back in,
I think CM Punk.
I think people would have enjoyed it. Because there's a lot of people that hate him now. So
I don't know if this is asinine to say, but I almost feel like unless AEW is willing to break the freaking bank for CM Punk,
they try.
I don't think CM Punk would want to be on AEW Dynamite to find out that his quarter-hour rating only did 1 million viewers. Does that sound ridiculous?
AEW, here's the problem. CM Punk and AEW would pop. It would. It would definitely give them ratings. I think it would give them a lot of ratings.
I think they get 1.5 million if CM Punk made his return.
But it's sustaining him that's going to be the problem. Look, AEW's proven time and time again that they can definitely get the numbers up there when they bring in new people and they can show them off, and then they just kind of go in the background for a bit, which is one of the big problems with that company, is that they don't know how to keep their showcase talent showcased. So in the idea of CM Punk, I mean, there is absolutely a possibility that there could be a suitcase slid underneath a table to fill himself, from Tony.
What I don't understand is,
what are they going to do with him in 2 months? What are they going to do with him in 6 months?
See, that's the thing. I mean, we've had over the years somebody come in for a one-shot deal, or maybe 2 or 3 matches at most. If you want to bring up Goldberg as an example, that might be somewhat of an example. What is so wrong with AEW inking a 1-match deal or even a 3-match deal for CM Punk, and they advertise it as, one time only or one night only? And then if you really want to swerve everyone, he wins the belt, and then they agree to a second match or maybe a third at the most. What's so wrong with just saying that, one time only, CM Punk will wrestle, no championships on the line. He can wrestle Kenny Omega, whoever you want him to wrestle. And then if it generates the kind of revenue that they think it could, then maybe that does lead to a short-term deal.
I mean, let's put it this way. AEW has no problem slinging out the money. I mean, they got Shaq, they got Tyson. I mean, they have made it very clear that they have no problem getting that talent to come on board and make AEW look better and give them a little history. There's no reason that AEW shouldn't reach out to CM Punk at some point. It's a matter of what do you do with him? Right. You can't just have him come out there and have a match with Cody or have a rematch with Chris Jericho or just throw him at Kenny Omega. There would have to be a decent fucking storyline built up, like over weeks, where I can't beat this. Like, for example, we'll just throw, I don't know, Cody versus Kenny Omega. All right. It doesn't make, or even Mox versus Kenny Omega. And Mox just can't beat Kenny Omega. Just can't beat him. So for one night only, he brings in a tag team partner or something like that who's going to beat the shit out of Kenny Omega and whoever. Right. And it comes out to be CM Punk. Like, it has to be set up in such a way. Yeah. You can't just throw him out there and go, hey, next week, Tony Schiavone just pops out there. Hey, next week, we're just going to have Chris Jericho versus CM Punk. Tune in. It's like, don't do that. There has to be a purpose. If you're going to spend that kind of money to pull in a CM Punk, use them right. Jesus Christ.
You'd have to use them for two matches. One for regular TV.
Something.
Top the TNT or TBS rating to please the network. And then one for pay-per-view to get some buy rates. You'd have to do 2.
Right. So, and James brings up, he's like, dude, CM Punk might be too old. Yeah, that's what we're saying. Like I said, 5 years ago, I would have been all in on this shit. 5 years ago, CM Punk returning, all in on this shit. We're getting up there. How old is he now? 42, 43?
I think he could still go.
And is he still training anymore? I don't even know if he's training. I know, obviously, when he was in MMA, he was. But is he still training? Because, like, the last time I think I saw him on TV, which was, like, about a couple of years ago, he was looking a mite skinny.
Yeah. He did look a little on the frail side.
A little.
You know what? Frail. You see Christian, you see Edge, Sting to a certain extent.
But they started training, though, DT.
Right.
That's
so CM Punk, no reason why he can't start training now. It's not like he's, Brack, shout out to you, my friend. What do we think about SummerSlam potentially happening at the new stadium in Las Vegas? Full capacity, 65,000. 65 might be stretching it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, but no, there's a lot of rumors of Las Vegas for SummerSlam. And it's definitely a strong candidate for it. There's no reason, when you have wrestling fans this hungry, if the card is strong enough, there's no reason why they can't get 30, 40, 50,000 in that building. Even if they only filled it halfway, 30,000 is still impressive. The big question is, and I don't think it's a problem in Nevada, just like it's not a problem in Texas, you got to pay attention to what's going on with the unemployment situation, because there are a lot of states where a lot of people, are making more money sitting at home, and these giant venues have to have enough people working for them, to handle the seating, the vending, the security, just everything. So, so far from what I hear, they have the employees. So, I will tell you, we will hear something within the next 2 weeks or so, 2 to 3 weeks at the most. I mean, especially if they use that stadium, they're going to want to put those tickets on sale at least 3 weeks in advance.
Oh, yeah.
So there's definitely no reason why they can't fill tens of thousands, if it's the right state, if it's the right environment, and the right card.
65 would be nice to see, but in reality, I'm not sure if we can fill that up just yet. There's still going to be a lot.
You get Becky Lynch back, and if Cena comes back.
Yeah, but what's a realistic number out of that? 45? I would say 45,000 would be an honest.
Yeah, I think 35 to 40 is reasonable.
35 to 40? Okay. So you're even less than I am. I'm thinking 45. So,
yeah. I mean, you could keep the areas a little bit extra distant. I mean, obviously with stadiums, they're not going to unbolt the seating from the cement floor, but you could keep an extra seat of, row of chairs empty, just to keep it, because every row of chairs is an extra foot and a half.
Right.
So we'll see, but it definitely can happen. Definitely can happen. Now, could this happen? Mish, you think Poppy will ever be in WWE? Not just NXT, but Dalton Roadhausen.
Sure.
Asks. I think so.
Sure. She's kind of become an NXT staple, which is fine. But yeah, I could see her showing up to WWE at some point. The reason that she shows up in NXT is because Triple H likes her music too. Yeah. It's more than just Io Shirai attachment. It's kind of like she fits more of the underground, and NXT is kind of seen as an underground wrestling branch of WWE in a way. Yeah. So it makes sense for her to be on NXT. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see her in WWE, but for the most part, I don't think most people would like her music anyways. I think she's not mainstream, and I don't think that people would understand it. So
she has some songs that are a little tamer.
Yeah, but she doesn't play the early stuff anymore. Like, you're right. Her early stuff,
maybe for WWE she would.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But her newer stuff, like the I Disagree stuff, you're not playing Choke on a loudspeaker for 65,000 people, No.
Yeah. Random question from Rojo Bear. Did you check out the Vampirella movie?
No, I did not. I am sorry. You know what? I want to, too. It's on the fucking list. I shit you not. But no, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I haven't checked it out. I don't watch those movies.
I'll make it a fucking promise to see it by next week.
You know what I
want to see it. Whether it's really good or really shitty, I really want to see it.
Some of you may be very proud of me. Some of you may say, DT, you might have a little bit too much time on your hands. You know what I've been binge watching lately?
What's that?
NASA.
Oh,
all of the rovers and all the visits to like Saturn and Mars and all. I have been watching hours and hours and hours of video and footage and science and learning the temperatures on the planets and this and that. I hated science growing up, and I've told the stories. The only time I ever liked science is when we dissected things and then we would throw it at the rival schools waiting at the bus stop. Hated science. For some reason, I got drawn in about a month ago, and I find myself every weekend just watching all of this footage and all this stuff. And yes, tomorrow. Mish, if you just allow me for 1 minute. Programming update. I should have done this right at the beginning of the show. Here's the deal, everyone. This week, the programming is a little bit shangada, a little bit screwed up because of some preemptions. AEW is not airing this Wednesday. AEW is airing Friday at 10 o'clock p.m. after SmackDown. That's usually when I do the Don Tony show. Wednesdays, I usually do Wednesday Night Dynamite. So the big question is, what do I do Wednesday since there's no wrestling show on? And what do I do Friday since AEW is going to be on at the same time that I do the Don Tony show? So I let everybody vote on YouTube. And, I appreciate everybody that sent in your feedback. And I said majority rules. And hopefully the voting doesn't change by the end of the show. But this is pretty much what, and the voting was very close, within a couple of digits. Here is what I plan on doing this week. tomorrow, Mish and I are going to do our regular Patreon show. We'll do our, I think tomorrow is off the cuff. I'm not sure. I got to check. I think it is off the cuff. So tomorrow is off the cuff. We'll talk a little NXT as well. I am still coming up here Wednesday for Wednesday Night Dynamite. But Wednesday will be a special start time of 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk NXT on Wednesday. We'll talk about any other non-Raw and SmackDown news going on. We'll preview Friday's AEW. So this Wednesday will be a show. It'll be shorter, obviously, but it's going to start at 8 p.m. Wednesday instead of 10:05. This Friday, I am still doing the Don Tony show at 10:05 p.m. My plan is to cover SmackDown, but I'm also going to have AEW Dynamite going on the other computer in the background. So we're going to do a little bit of a live watch-along while we're doing the show Friday. And then I'm also going to do predictions for Double or Nothing Friday. So regular live show Friday, as of right now. Hey, if the voting dramatically changes in the next 24 hours, then I'll do something different. Because originally I was going to do an AEW show on Saturday and do predictions and everything. But then again, that's so close to the pay-per-view, a lot of people may not even get a chance to check it out before the pay-per-view happens. So Friday night, regular schedule, but I'm going to do a watch-along while we're doing the show, and we'll do predictions, and we'll talk SmackDown. The only thing we won't have Friday is the AEW quarter-hour ratings. So, by the way, did you hear Showbuzz Daily might be done?
Why? What happened?
Oh, my God. Oh, I've been talking about this for over a week now.
Yes.
No one else, and like I said, you would appreciate this because you bailed me out a couple of times. But everything that we said about Showbuzz Daily ended up being true. Showbuzz Daily used WordPress. Showbuzz Daily did almost all of their stuff for nothing. Just like when we ran wrestling news sites back in the day and we didn't really use pop-ups and all, they pretty much did everything for free. Somebody updated because WordPress had a major update a week and a half ago. Somebody updated either plugins or the entire WordPress system for them and didn't do a backup. They never paid for backups. This executive for Showbuzz Daily did everything on the cheap, and it's starting to come out now. And they lost just about everything. So they've been coming up with excuses. Oh, the frame is back, but we might have lost this. Now he's saying they don't know if they could come back. Now he's revealing that he always did everything pretty much for nothing. And people, experts, have been offering him their help to fix all this. And he's been turning everybody down. Why? Because this guy, I don't think he wants to reveal that he was just another fan doing this stuff, and he worked so hard and lost everything. Sometimes when you're doing this stuff and you just lose everything, like you lose all incentive to do it. I think Showbuzz Daily is done.
Could be.
Just simply because...
I understand that feeling. I've lost my website a couple times over the years, and I mean, in the early days of Wrestling Soup, we lost our website a couple times because we went on the, what did we do? We went on the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
Started looking at the old Wrestling Dash News and looking at the old Wrestling Soup.
How fun was that last week, man?
That's amazing how much our shows and our websites have changed. I mean, just from the very beginning to what it is now, I think our website went through like 6 or 7 different iterations. Alone. And it's just, some of them were forced because the early days we didn't even have a good server. Because it's new to shit.
But, a week and a half ago when I said, I'm hearing it's the lazy WordPress, no backups. They did not see.
But you know what's really funny about that? Is there are plugins for WordPress that will back up for you automatically.
It's laziness.
That are free. I'm not even talking about paid for ones. Of course, your host server has backup plans that they, as a server host, they can actually just back up the whole, your shared unit or whatever. But WordPress itself, as far as the website goes, it has plugins for free that will back up your shit on the daily. And it's just, see, at that point, it's not a matter of this guy was being cheap. I think this guy just didn't know. like he didn't do the research, so.
I feel bad for him to an extent, but then again, I don't, because when you realize how small amount of money it would have cost for him to just even pay a service, his hosting
it wouldn't
company.
cost him a penny. It would
Simple
not have
database backup.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Anna, shout out to Anna. She says, I'm going to be the first podcaster in space. I'm going to be the first podcaster to be, I don't know. I don't even want to say it, but something tells me I will die a violent death somewhere.
Why?
So, I don't know. Maybe I'll get hit by this guy. Maybe I'll get run over by him.
I'm a fatalist, but dear Lord.
I feel bad for him, man. Seriously. Because
I'm just worried about the people that he, hit and injured. So,
yeah. Well, the fact that we're misdemeanors probably wasn't anything major. Went through an intersection, tried to evade police, went on a median, hit maybe like somebody at a red light, maybe hit another parked car here or there, ended up. So you could almost picture the scenario. What sucks is no helicopter footage. You don't ever get the helicopter. Like, we got this car, like the car chases, nothing. So, By the way, random thing. Now we're going to fill in the blanks quick for Raw. We're going to talk Velveteen and get out of here. The Iconics, they launched their own podcast. It's called Offer Chops. It's been hyped for about 3 weeks. Yeah. The first episode is today. Mm-hmm. I saw about 10 minutes of it. It's not bad, but I want to just prepare everybody for something. And you'll appreciate this. People on YouTube were complaining of the echo. The loud room, the echo. And obviously, they haven't padded the room or anything like that. But what a lot of people don't understand is they're recording from a digital recorder also. So when you have people out there saying, wow, the audio only, the Spotify sounds perfect, but the YouTube sounds like crap. It's the reverse of what happened to this show 2 weeks ago, where the audio only people were like, audio sounds all fucked up, but everybody on YouTube said it sounded correct. It's because they got two different feeds going on at the same time. So, some people really got triggered over this. Yeah. Like, how dare you rip them? It's their first show and this and that. I'm not saying anybody should criticize them, but, it's their first ever show doing this. I will tell you, I enjoyed it more than the Bellas. I only checked it out for 10 minutes, but I enjoyed it more than the Bellas. I'm just being honest.
Me and Joel will be discussing it on Thursday, so I think that's what the plan will be. I'm sure it'll be nice and respectable, because me and Joe would never, go in on something that we didn't enjoy. I think we're also going to do the Enzo and Leo Rush song, too. That should be fun.
Okay. Shout out to Rye Baker.
Rye Baker.
I don't know if it's supposed to be Rye Baker.
No, it's Rye Baker, dude. Like Rye Baker, like rye bread.
Oh, well, Rye is spelled R-Y-E. But I like that. I like rye bread, too. Shout out to Rye Baker.
Now. Yeah.
Much love, Rye. And what's your favorite restaurant in Chicago?
Gino's East. Gino's East. I love Gino's East. Good stuff. Good pizza.
Favorite Chicago. New York deli. What's that one that we ate? Corned beef and pastrami.
Oh, boy.
Cats?
No. Yeah, Cat's Deli.
K-A-T-Z.
Right. Yeah,
Cat's Delicatessen. K-A-T-Z, it's spelled.
Rye Baker. I like that.
I like that.
That's what he wants to know. He wants to know your favorite restaurant.
Yeah,
he's a
Cat's
baker.
Delicatessen. You could buy them on, what's that? Gold Belly. I have shipped it to Mish before, and I have actually shipped it to my house from my mom. And if you're into corned beef or pastrami or those round potato knishes, oh, my God, dude. I already made up my mind 2 weeks from now. I'm going to go off my keto diet for a couple of weeks. And one of the things that I'm looking forward to is one of those round potato knishes from Katz. I'm going to have this big, thick pastrami sandwich with mustard and those pickles and the corned beef. a little bit of corned beef and that knish.
Oh, that knish is delicious, dude.
It's
That was my
epic.
favorite part. Well, that and the crazy ass pickles too.
Yeah.
The kiddos love those too. So that was
Cat's delicatessen, man.
great. Yeah, man.
Thank you, Greg, for the kind words. One thing about me, and look, I was always a stickler. Mish is 10 times more than me because Mish spends hours and hours and hours, countless, even editing breaths. That's how, detailed. But we really take pride in trying to give as best quality as possible. Sometimes,
Yeah, I've been a little slow. For this month has been a bad month for Mish. Mish has been a bad boy.
You're
It's
entitled
been
for a little
me.
break, man.
Dude. Yeah,
Nobody's complaining.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are, dude. So
Because
okay,
it's spoiled.
I launched up the Thursday show. I put it up on the free feed, and it eventually got over to Spotify and iTunes and stuff like that. And I totally blanked on putting it on the Patreon feed. And now I'm getting feedback like, "What in the hell are we paying for? Where's the episode from this week?" I'm like, "But it's on the free feed." They're like, "Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you're
You
sick."
need my help for something? Just let me know, man. If I could do a little something, I know what I'm doing. It may not be as good as you, but
No, I know, dude. And you're not the only person to offer. Lee Sanders from RCWR, I love that dude.
yeah. Shout out to Lee.
Offering. I don't know if you know Wookie. He's also a mod on our.
Sure.
He's offered too. So I just got to get back into the swing of things, homie. That's really what it is. And I'm sorry to people that have, that are being patient and stuff like that. I just, I'll get there, guys. I'm sorry. 11 years. This has been a rough month for me.
Yeah. Well, everybody's here to support you, so.
All right, cool.
Shout out to La Nostra Familia. I started answering a majority of the T&As from last week. That's Q&A, just typing answers instead of doing video. We'll do video this coming weekend, probably. So I want to thank everybody for sending you questions. Never too late. It's an ongoing thread. So if you have any questions, just post it in the thread and I will answer them back. Very, very special family members. And whenever you see somebody writing in the chat room and they got right now, they got a green name or a different colored name, that is some of our channel members here. So you get custom emojis. And I am going to mix the emojis up a little bit. I noticed there's 2 or 3 emojis that nobody really ever uses all that much. So I'm definitely going to put a thread if anybody has any specific emoji that they would like to see on the chat room. I am very willing to do it. So anyway, let's start bringing this home.
Sure.
So we open up Raw tonight with Bobby Lashley in the ring. Different set of babes this time around. I don't know, there was one that looked a lot like Charlie Caruso. Thick legs. My type of woman. My type of woman. She was right in the middle. I think she was playing with Lashley's earlobe when he was sitting on the couch. The one right behind him that was going like this. Mm-hmm. But, Lashley bragging, about, what his championship win and, not showing a lot of respect to Kofi Kingston and, Drew McIntyre is like this black cloud that won't go away, and then next thing you know, McIntyre's music hits.
Right.
He comes out there and he's, giving a little smack to Lashley, and then Kofi's music hits. And I understand trying to play on reality, Kofi saying, look, the WWE Universe wants you to step aside, let someone else take over. Nothing against Kofi, but I don't think that's what we all had in mind. No. But they're trying to play off that Kofi would not have been able to beat Lashley last week without Drew's help at the end. So Adam Pearce announces a match tonight. We're going to have Kofi versus Drew McIntyre, and the winner of this match tonight will go on to face Bobby Lashley at Hell in a Cell. Not inside a Hell in a Cell because they haven't said that yet, but at the pay-per-view. What was your thoughts on that whole opening thing?
I'm okay. Well, the opening thing with Bobby Lashley and the girlies was funny. I'm fine with that. I like Bobby Lashley having this entourage of women, especially in 2021, when I'm surprised there aren't people in the audience seething at, look at the display of male chauvinism. Look at that display of sexism on WWE television. Dude, I fucking love it. Bobby Lashley's hilarious, him and MVP. the idea of Drew and Kofi going at it at Hell in a Cell, that's fine. You got somebody new in the mix. I know they want to keep Drew in the mix. And I know that there's a lot of people that don't want Kofi to get the belt. I don't think he's going to get the belt. I don't see him being that.
Yeah, I don't even think he's going to be at Hell in a Cell because we had the match tonight.
Right.
And it ended in a no contest.
I still think that there's going to be something with Kofi, though. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a matchup with Kofi and Bobby again. I have no problem with that. Just don't take it any further than that. Have a series of matches, have a little mini feud. But Bobby's the better guy. Bobby's the guy that needs to hold the title right now. Kofi doesn't need it. So,
I will tell you this much. I know I've said it before, but man, as Xavier Woods just upped it ever since he returned from injury. This guy, he's wrestling. Just when I say he's wrestling the greatest of his career, he ups it even more. The match he had with Riddle tonight, I freaking loved it. They just gelled together. I would not be surprised if they had a rematch next week. But and I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but we did not have a Randy Orton, interaction. It was Riddle.
They just had more replays of Randy Orton.
Right, it was just the replays. We didn't get a replay of the replay, but a lot of fruit roll-ups tonight. But Riddle and Xavier Woods was not one of them because they tore it.
Riddle. I like that. You called him Riddle?
No, I don't know what I was going to call it before, but
Matt Riddlin. I like that. Yeah,
he's Riddlin.
Yes.
He's Riddlin.
He is Riddlin.
But he came out. He did the Randy Orton pose.
Yeah.
I don't know if Riddle thinks he's starting to turn into Randy Orton because he had like a little bit of a Viper look.
Yeah, he's got a little idol crush going on right now. I think that's what it is. Maybe
Arcade
a little
bromance?
bro crush. Yeah, a little bromance.
Little bromance.
That's kind of what they're wanting to do, and it would be interesting for a character like Matt Riddle to be influenced or inspired by a Randy Orton because they don't mesh at all, which is more interesting because why in the fuck would Matt Riddle be into like Randy Orton at all? Like it's not even the same type, That's why when they put Riddle in with New Day, when they put him in with Kofi and Xavier and stuff like that, it kind of made sense because they all played off of each other. They're all goofy together. But it's interesting to see where they're going to go with Randy.
Yeah. And Riddle with the RKO on Xavier Woods, which surprised a lot of people. I'm surprised. I'm not going to lie. I'm surprised you, me, and I'm sure some of you said it last week. I'm surprised that we didn't more say, Riddle's got to start doing the RKO. But he did it and did it phenomenal. And even after that was the only thing that I wish would have been a little bit clearer after the match. Like they had the camera on Riddle, and Riddle had a little bit of a smile on his face. Xavier Woods was a little bit reeled, because of getting hit with the RKO. Right. But they moved. The cameras moved away from the ring. So we didn't see any additional interaction of Riddle maybe being cool with Xavier Woods or maybe acting a little bit heelish. Like they just immediately went to the back. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more there because, especially with the way that Riddle was acting a little bit during the match, it almost felt like Riddle was being a little bit of a heel. But I tell you, man, they killed it in the ring today. And I know we sung the praise for Sheamus lately, but, we start dissecting it a little bit, whether it was against Randy or it was against AJ or against Sheamus or, Riddle is putting on a lot of really good matches. He's fucking killing it.
He's got to turn around a lot of shit that's already happened. I mean, pre-WrestleMania, he's got to turn around this stupid, goofy character that hasn't done him any favors. For the longest time, nobody's ever said anything negative about his in-ring work. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of us were very impressed with Matt Riddle for a while now. But his bro stuff, whoa, dude, I'm really, really baked. I want some brownies. It's like that shit got old fast. And it wasn't doing him any favors, and we didn't enjoy it. And I know we didn't enjoy it because we all of us, me, you, Kev, Joe, all of us had something negative to say about that silly-ass character. So if it takes Randy Orton, of all people, to pull him out of that and put him in more of a serious role that a guy with his talent would make sense with, then go for it. I would rather see a different version of Matt Bro than fucking the Riddle that we've seen for the longest time now. So I hope this is just an intro of series yet to come, you know?
Ken terminated by DQ, just a random comment. As far as Near or anyone else not knowing Flash Funk during the Attitude Era, Flash Funk was more around, middle 90s as far as Flash Funk goes. When the Attitude Era was really getting full blown, he was Too Cold Scorpio for the most part in the Job Squad with Al Snow. Because I remember Al Snow specifically going to the WWF after his ECW stint. And I think a lot more people, and when the Attitude Era really started to kick into gear, a lot of people may not have recognized or paid attention to WWF 96, 97, maybe part of 98. But for the most part, a lot of people would know, Scorpio as part of the Job Squad more than anything else. So I just want to clarify that. I like the idea, Tony. I like the idea very much. I don't know how it would look on a little tiny box, but a Joe Piscopo emoji. I like it. I'll look into it. If you have any ideas, man, on the thread, on that TNA, post it. Post a little image of it. If I could make it look good, I'll do it. Definitely do that. So, Xavier Woods, by far, match of the night with Riddle tonight. Now, we had Drew versus Kofi to open up Raw as far as the match goes. Now, I honestly thought they were going to restart the match at the end of the night. I really did not expect the women's tag team match to close out Raw this time around. And when I said earlier tonight that I really wanted to vent on recycled shit, keep that thought because it has to do with the main event tonight. But we get Kofi versus Drew. Match was okay. But then at the very end, Lashley, who was originally towards the back area on couches with MVP, with all the women. Right. Then the next thing you know, they're around ringside. Then the next thing you know, just like synchronized. You have synchronized swimming. This was synchronized, interference. They made sure that Lashley and MVP hit the ring at the very same time, hit each wrestler at the very same time, so they could rule it a no contest. Because if somebody would have hit Drew first, they would have ruled it in favor of Drew, and vice versa. So there was no clear-cut winner. So we find out that these two guys are going to face each other again next week.
Right.
And what I thought was just a lazy-ass stipulation, Adam Pearce tells Lashley that if they interfere, he's suspended 90 days without pay. And I'm saying to myself, why not? If you interfere, not only are you suspended for 90 days, but since you won't be able to defend your championship, you lose your title as well. If you think about it, Bobby Lashley has been telling Adam Pearce, I'm the champion. I don't need to wrestle. So telling me I'm going to be suspended for 90 days, but you don't mention taking away my title? Fuck it. I'll be suspended. I sit on my ass for 90 days. I'm still the champion. I'm talking storyline right now. I thought that was lazy-ass shit today.
That is lazy, but that's also maybe something that they're going to pull into the heel side of it. Hey, he is going to be suspended. He is going to sit on his ass. I don't know. Maybe you're calling out the storyline when you're not supposed to be.
Right. Yes, rough man. Synchronized bullshit. Oh, wait till we get to the end. Nikki Cross, she's in the back with Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. Charlotte's bad-mouthing Rhea, which was a little weird also because Nikki Cross enters the picture. She wants to face one of those two. Meanwhile, we know that Charlotte's taking on Asuka again.
That promo was so bad. Nikki pops up and Charlotte's like, I'll beat your dumb ass in 2 minutes. And then Rhea steps in and they start shit-talking each other. And then Charlotte's like, well, why don't you beat her in 2 minutes?
And Rhea's like, no problem. And
I'm
this
like,
was,
what the fuck is this?
this was even worse. Okay.
Yeah.
She's got a gigantic fucking Titantron in front of her that says time to beat because it's a 2-minute beat the clock challenge. If
Right.
Nikki Cross could survive 2 minutes with Rhea Ripley, Nikki Cross wins. So
Right.
what happens? You got Rhea Ripley, for the most part, getting a lot of offense, and the time is clicking down, and we're getting to 40 seconds, and we're getting to 30 seconds. And I'm saying to myself, okay, there's nowhere in sight that she's hitting a finisher. And sure enough, the clock expires, Nikki Cross wins, and Rhea Ripley's acting like the dumb moron that she had no idea that the clock expired. Brain fart.
Right.
Train of thought. But it seems like they're starting to slowly bring Rhea back as a babyface because she said to Charlotte in front of Nikki earlier, nobody likes you. That you always
Right.
talk down at everybody. So this, and I got a kick out of when Charlotte says, you want to be just like me because of the WrestleMania thing.
Right.
But this was not very good. You know,
I
nice
don't know.
for
I
Nikki
still think
Cross, but
Yeah, I still think that they might try some underdog shit with her. I really do. I just have a feeling that this isn't a one and done. They're going to do it again next week, and next week it'll be Charlotte.
Charlotte
And then
Nikki.
Nikki will win over Charlotte either by beating the time or by interference or something. And now Nikki will have 2 wins over the champion and then over the contender. I'm just telling you, I'm not saying that she's going to go off to be the next women's champion, but I can definitely see her being a Santino. I can definitely see her being
She's very well liked, and I like it too.
a 3-way match. Absolutely. Yeah.
I still think of that Royal Rumble picture, how depressed she looked. I honestly, I should have queued it up. I don't know if I have that picture available. I remember the last time we tried to look it up, I was like, fuck, I'm going to keep looking. And sure enough, at the very end, I found it. But this time around, I'm looking, I don't see it anywhere handy. So that's just a really sad
Even
picture.
her live interview that she did was really rough at the Royal Rumble too.
Yeah.
You know, because they did like the pre-show.
Yeah, she was standing by the ring and she was complaining
Right.
about not getting an opportunity. And you really felt bad for her. I felt bad for her.
Yeah.
Oh, I found it. Let's flash back one time, just for fun. Everyone, this is the Royal Rumble picture. And you remember all the geniuses because Casey Catanzaro was featured in this picture. They turned around and said, oh, Casey Catanzaro, exclusive news. She was supposed to be in the Royal Rumble, but she was not used. They got it because of this picture. If you look at everybody, there's Santana Garrett. You got Tori Wilson, Dana Brooke. You have Jillian Hall, the Iconics, Tamina smiling, Nia, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley with the tongue. We have Ember Moon. There's Lana all the way in the corner. Then we see Sasha Banks with a nice little smile. Mickey James is really happy. Bailey. You got Carmella.
Naomi down there.
Yeah, Naomi, Lacey
Oh,
Evans.
TJ smiling.
Yeah,
TJ's
TJ with Natty. Everybody's smiling except for one person. And yeah, we felt so bad for her. Everybody smiled. Everybody. And she's just looking the other way. I think she farted. And I think she just looked the other way, hoping that nobody knew. Nobody heard anything. But such a sad photo. Such a sad photo. So it was nice to see her on TV today.
Yeah.
Charlotte beats Asuka. This is the third time they're facing each other since WrestleMania. WrestleMania was only a little over a month ago. Again, I don't understand. I kind of understand because they may still add Asuka to the match, but Asuka won last week. So they didn't play off that Asuka suffered an injury, even in storyline. So why was she immediately added to the match? Why didn't Sonya Deville add her to the match? Remember the whole storyline? Sonya was right alongside Charlotte every week. Why didn't Sonya announce that match?
I don't know.
Where did that storyline go?
Continuity.
That's
It's
sloppy.
the continuity failure. Yeah,
It's sloppy.
It's a sloppy.
Jaxson, Ryker.
You could match though. Overall, once again, Asuka and Charlotte putting on a lot of good reversals, good selling. You know,
This is probably their best of the last 3 matches we've seen them have.
Yeah, I'm fair with that. Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, tonight, storyline wise, wasn't the greatest. In ring wise, though, it was really fun. I thought a lot of the matches tonight, actually, I can't think of anything that was really bad except for the main event.
We'll get to that in a second.
But like every other match on the card tonight, I can't think of anything really kind of bad about the actual physical matches, you know?
Jaxson Ryker versus AJ Styles was designed simply to make Elias. So they were legitimate for a tag title shot, probably pre-show at Hell in a Cell, maybe even sooner. But I tell you, Omos runs fast. He fucking ran down that rampway. I'm like, wow, that's scary. Somebody that big that runs that fast. I mean, yes, I know what people are going to say. Well, you look at the NBA. We have 7-foot people running up and down the court all the time. I know, but...
Yeah, but usually they're not coming to knock you the fuck out.
Yeah. That visual earlier was priceless.
There's a difference. Some dude passing a ball versus some dude coming down there to knock your teeth out. Well, kind of a different visual, you know?
Elias interferes. Of course, AJ to win. And it was funny, after Elias nailed cheap shot at AJ, he hid behind the barricade, and they had the camera exactly the way they wanted it, and they did the old Andre thing, had it going upwards to make Omos look like he was 15 feet tall. Right. And, again, this is going to be the next tag team match, and I like that they're kind of positioning AJ Styles and Omos as baby faces. I think it works. Yeah. I like it. Non-title match, Sheamus beating Humberto Carrillo. Humberto... once again, impressing me. I like his tweaked look. That's the look that I said for quite a while back. Trim the hair, get a little facial hair. I like it. He bulked up. He really could go, and they're giving him a little bit of an opportunity. He lost, but what was interesting afterwards was Sheamus tries to attack Carrillo after the match. This proceeds to bring out Ricochet, and Carrillo and Ricochet both end up nailing splashes onto Sheamus.
Right.
But no Mansoor.
No Mansoor.
Little surprised. I thought Mansoor did a pretty damn good job. I mean, somebody there, unless Mansoor shows up next week, somebody there I think feels like, not just yet.
Didn't Ricochet get a little flack today for some stupid shit he said on social media?
Yeah, I think he said something about Io Shirai, like trying to say that he could do, something like that. But I know it was just innocent. Like somebody said, like he could do some. He said like he could do something just as good.
From the way I understood it, somebody was praising either. I thought it was Kairi Sane, but maybe it was Io Shirai.
It might be Kairi Sane. Could have been.
Somebody was praising another wrestler and saying that they have good high spots and good aerial moves, and he stepped in there and basically said, "But I'm good too."
He was
I'm
being
a good
baited.
high flyer too.
He was being baited. Yeah. By the way, I don't know if I'm going to watch that A&E Ultimate Warrior. I heard that Vince didn't apologize.
Not even Vince. Dana. There's a back and forth with that because Dana Warrior is flipping out about the Vice documentary.
Yeah, the Dark Side of the Ring. I don't think I'm going to watch that one either.
Oh, really? You're going to abstain from both?
I might end up watching A&E, but I tell you, the A&Es, not for nothing, man. I remember the A&Es that came out around 2000 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I mean, other than production value, these have been disappointing. I mean, the Booker T one was probably the only one I liked so far, because he was the one that never really got a lot of tribute in the first place.
Right.
But the Macho Man, I don't understand why it was done. The Piper one, I still like, it just felt like they were making it to make it. I mean, I don't know. I'm just not feeling these A&E ones at all. And And honestly, I'm not interested in seeing Ultimate Warrior being fed a shit sandwich, just to get, get some
Well, supposedly
publicity.
the A&E one, I mean, if you're going by Dana Warrior's word, the A&E one was a little bit better. But she called, what did she call the Dark Side of the Ring one? She called it smut.
Sensationalize or smut?
No, she called it smut and filth. She is openly hated on this. Now, it's Ultimate Warrior's ex-wife that's actually in the Dark Side of the Ring one. So she's talking about the time before Dana Warrior was in his life.
Even the Collision in Korea one, the feedback I got was, don't waste your time. Yeah. Like, Scott Norton don't get no publicity anymore, so when they make him feel like $1 million, of course Scott Norton is going to be the focus of this. But there were so many names that didn't take part in it. Right. That should tell you something right there. And, it just reminds me like Bart Gunn in the Brawl for All. Like, they actually had the balls to try to play off that Bart Gunn's career was derailed because of Brawl for All. Bart Gunn was about to be released. The guy was doing nothing. The Smoking Guns came and went. The guy had no momentum whatsoever. In the Attitude Era, what the fuck was he going to do? So, people try, but they made Bart Gunn feel like he was $1 million. And of course, Bart Gunn, probably believed in his head that he was, better and should have been around. And maybe he thought that he was going to be around. But I remember that clearly. And Bart Gunn's career was going nowhere.
Well, he was at that time. No, because they made it very clear that WWE wanted Dr. Death Steve Williams to win.
Yeah.
That's why they had Jim Ross on there. And in Bart Gunn's head, he was told the entire time that, well, at the end of this, you get to work a package with Austin. Yeah. And so he wasn't thinking of, I'm going to be the next big guy. He was thinking of, if I work with Austin, I'm going to be the next big guy. I don't think he ever entertained the idea that Brawl for All was ever going to make him the next Steve Austin. It was wrestling Steve Austin.
But Brawl for All played it off that Bart Gunn's career was derailed and he had not much of a career afterwards because of Brawl for All. And I
believe that because he fucked with the boss's plans. Yeah. I honestly think that Brawl for All was his kiss of death. Like, if Dr. Death Steve Williams would have won, Bart Gunn still would have been fired. I think he still would have been fired. But I think that the difference is that he would have been called back. I think because of Brawl for All, he was never called back.
Right.
What did he end up doing? Working with Butterbean in a few years and shit?
Yeah. I invite anyone out there, look at Bart Gunn's matches for about a year leading up to Brawl for All. And you tell me how his fucking career was derailed. Again, it's just...
I just think he would have been called back. You don't think he would have been called back if he
I think
lost
it
like he was supposed to?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think his wrestling career was derailed because he didn't go anywhere after that. Yeah. But if he did what they expected him to do, if he went down the way that they expected him to go down, because they even talked about the whole thing was they just wanted to see Bradshaw get his face popped in a few times because Bradshaw was apparently a big arrogant base braggart. Surprise, surprise. So.
Jay Carlos, I'll autograph this and send it to you. I thank you so much for that, my friend. You didn't have to do that, but I'm so goddamn pissed. It's not, these holes, I honestly don't know what these holes are. They're not screw holes. If I look at the top, I'm going to take a picture tomorrow, and I'll show everybody later in the week. You look at the top of this thing, there is no holes for screws. And I've been leaning on it, and I'm like, I can't tape it. I can't glue it. I can't believe that. And I checked online. I looked on the vendor's place, and I looked on other people, and sure enough, people are like, oh, yeah, well, that comes off. I can order the piece, but why am I going to pay $50 for an arm? You know what I mean? Right. So I'm going to get like a gaming chair. I'm going to get a nice, comfortable gaming chair.
Sure.
So, but thank you for that, my friend. So I like Ricochet now with the jeans and the sneakers. I like it. I think he gets lost in the shuffle a little bit just wearing a regular Ricochet outfit. So now they're trying to make him more of like a, casual look. I think Ricochet without, wearing the jeans and the sneakers, I'd leave it like that for now. I would. I know a lot of people disagree, but I just want to get to this main event.
Let's get to the main event, DT. It's already 12 o'clock.
I felt bad for Alexa Bliss because I read from a few people tonight that she's got a pig, and I think it's legit. And her pig is very, very sick.
Yes.
And she was reaching out for anybody that lives anywhere near her if they knew of a vet that takes care of pigs. Because I do know this for a fact that once pigs get to a certain weight, a lot of vets, they don't want to treat them. And apparently a pig is very, very sick, and she was very, very depressed, and this and that. And, you know, a lot of people were saying, oh, that's messed up. You know, they're making her come to Raw just to do voodoo shit. And meanwhile, she's got like a really sick animal at home. So now I don't know if the main event was improvised a little bit, the very end of it. It sure felt a little bit improvised, but we get Nia and Shayna trying to get back the tag championships against Natty and Tamina. And they replay last week, and Reginald's in the back wearing sunglasses. Yep. And Shayna Baszler threatens Reginald to stay in the back, don't get involved, don't come out there. If you want to help, stay in the back.
Yes.
And, dude, to me, this is the fucking Sasha Bianca shit all over again. Is this guy's gimmick is that he just breaks up friendships with women? Because Sasha and Bianca were going to team up, and it backfired. And then they had that 6th grade argument. Like, you let him on. No, I didn't. No, it's I mean, I'm like, what am I in fucking grammar school with this shit? And Reginald was the one that kind of got Sasha. And it felt like the same goddamn shit today. And here's the worst part about it. Didn't we have somebody, Bianca or Sasha, take on Reginald in a match? Didn't we have somebody take on Reginald in a match? Because after, basically what happens is we get the match tonight, and we're all wondering, okay, it's going to close out Raw. That means Alexa Bliss is going to do some hocus pocus. So towards the very end of the match, Reginald comes back out again. Reginald with a distraction. He thought he was trying to distract the ref when Natty had the upper hand, but then Shayna had the pin and the ref was distracted, so he kind of like cost the match. Shayna ejects Reginald, and the best part of all of this is as Reginald's walking to the back, all the back lights up again. We don't see Alexa Bliss this time, so I'm wondering if they sent her home, you know, and they just did the explosion anyway.
They left the doll.
Yeah, they left the doll. But Reginald's acting like he's all blinded again. And as I'm watching this, pay attention to Nia Jaxson, the opposite side of the ring. Nia's just lounging on the barricade, and she's just watching.
Well, she had a hard match on Friday, DT. I mean, she's still recovering.
What happened to her, like throwing water in her, you know, in her, what do they call it? Her boo. Like last week with the water in the face, my boo, what happened?
Oh, my boo, okay.
Reginald's blinded again. And to me, now this feels like Norman Smiley back in the day. Every time he would get whipped and he'd scream at the top of his lungs and we'd all laugh at it. So now he gets exploded in his eyes again. And this time I'm looking at Nia Jaxson on the other side of the ring, and I'm like, she looked like a lazy lump of shit. Just standing there, like leaning on the side. And I'm like, run after your boo. Pour water in his face. I'm talking storyline.
My favorite part actually happened right after that.
What?
So when he was blind in the back, Shayna goes back up the ramp and follows Reginald.
Right.
And after he just got burned in the face again, Shayna starts bitching him out.
Yep. You son of a bitch.
This guy just got burned in the face again. And instead of like seeing a doctor or an EMT or something like that, Shayna is chewing his ass out.
And he turned into a fucking mute. The flames ruined his voice because she's yelling at him, she's grabbing him by the throat, and suddenly his eyes don't burn anymore. Because if his eyes burned, he would have been like, no, please, no. I mean, why didn't he just like grab his other hand and like rub his face? No, he's just frozen there, and she's like, "You son of a bitch."
He's a bad actor, and that situation was funny. I'm sorry. Reginald is a bad actor, and Shayna yelling at an injured person was fucking hilarious.
She's like, "You Somalian son of a bitch, you Cirque du Soleil. Next week, I'm fucking you up." Next week, we got Shayna Baszler versus Reginald, and that's the actual credits going off the air.
We need to see more Shayna. We need to see more Shayna yelling at injured people. I think that should be a segment on WWE. Just somebody gets injured, and Shayna comes around and just yells at him, kicks the injury a few times, you know.
Let's have a little twist. Maybe Shayna is in on it with Alexa. Maybe Shayna's telling Lily, burn his fucking Cirque du Soleil ass.
Maybe.
This motherfucker keeps costing my matches. Burn his ass.
Shayna would fit that Bray gimmick a hell of a lot more than Alexa Bliss would. I'll tell you that.
As Shayna is jaw-jacking at Reginald, please go back and watch it and just look at the right-hand corner of Nia leaning against the barricade. I swear to God, it almost looked like, like that's her boo. Burned in the face. Shayna's threatening to destroy this guy. And it looks like she's on the opposite of the side of the ring as she's hearing Shayna. It's almost like, that's not right, Shayna. It was just god-awful. You have the nerve to go off the air with that shit. That's recycled shit. It just...
Oh, yeah.
It's like mathematics. You take you take Sasha Banks plus Bianca Belair, like a math equation. Sasha Banks plus Bianca Belair not equals Nia and Shayna. You put Sasha Banks plus Bianca Belair times 2, because obviously they're smaller than Nia, equals Nia and Shayna. That's what it feels like. It feels like here's 2 other women having a falling out because of the Cirque du Soleil guy.
Right.
That's what it feels like. It's the same recycled shit. It didn't work with the other 2. Why is it going to work now? What's next? Reginald's going to be in the corner of Dana and Mandy?
Yeah. Why not? Maybe Naomi and Lana. Who knows?
I tell you, man, the guy is talented with what he does, and I don't dislike him.
What does he do, DT?
Well, he's very talented with the acrobatic stuff. I'm very impressed with some of the stuff he could do.
Great. He could do a cartwheel.
Yeah, but like he could do like what the Lucha House Party used to do, and he used to dive off that thing in the ring. Like he doesn't need that.
Other things. They do other things besides that. That's what I'm saying is there is nothing about Reginald right now that anybody could really suffice to say.
No, I don't like him on TV at all.
His job.
I honestly, in storyline,
Bam Bam Bigelow did a cartwheel. It's like.
I mean, other than Tim White, like I can't think of any other time where I wanted a wrestler to legitimately get killed on TV. Not physically. I mean, the character killed off.
His life.
No, I don't mean his character killed off. Like, just, I don't know. Throw him in fire or something.
No, just find something else for him. Maybe a Heartbreaker isn't Reginald's calling. Maybe something else.
This is awful, man. Yeah. I don't know what demographic out there is into that, man. But it just feels like Sasha and Bianca are just redone again. Like, what fucking parent? I mean, not for nothing, man. Without trying to go too deep into this, I could tell you that, back in the day, when I was in high school, if there was maybe 1 or 2 guys from the football team and there was a girl hanging out with both of them, and then 2-3 weeks later we see 2 guys from the basketball they're hanging out with the same girl, we'll just call her Reginalda, and 2 days later or 2 weeks later we got 2 guys from the soccer team hanging out with the same girl. Wow, Reginalda is after a while, a person like that gets a name, I don't know. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up with not trying to overhype it, but, and thank you, Jay Carlos, again, my friend. Velveteen Dream was released. You and I have had some discussion in the past. Velveteen Dream finally, after a year plus, issued a statement as far as the accusations against him. If you don't mind, I would like to read them very quickly.
Sure.
And I'd like your opinion on what Velveteen Dream said. I will tell you right off the bat, I'm confused. I still don't know if WWE told him to just keep quiet about it, or if he thought because of the mystique of Velveteen Dream that he chose to remain silent about it. But this is what Velveteen Dream had to say. The allegations from April 20th, 2020 have effectively derailed any upward momentum I had professionally and has ultimately resulted in my termination with WWE. My name is Patrick Clark, not Velveteen Dream. Velveteen Dream is a character that I've spent years developing, trying to bring to life. The success of the Dream character relied heavily on kayfabe, my ability to blur Patrick Clark from Tough Enough with this over-the-top personality. The character was conceptualized the day Prince passed, April 21st, 2016. I knew nothing about him at the time, but my thinking was that I could use my interpretation of Prince to create an on-screen personality vastly different from who I am as a person. Cue Velveteen Dream. A sexually ambiguous, gender-fluid, self-absorbed diva. And as I learned more about Prince, I began to tame certain aspects of the character, aspects I deemed way too over the top and inconsistent with who Prince was as a performer. Now, before I unpack that, I will say I enjoyed the many stories I've been able to share on camera, and I'm grateful to the many people who have trusted me with their safety and wellness. He goes on and thanks everybody. Then he says, the night of April 20th, from my verified Instagram account, I posted a story to my followers letting them know that my DMs had been open. I received a few different messages ranging from support to heckling and some inquiring about how to get started in pro wrestling. I responded to a few, but not all, and of the few I responded to, one account accused me of solicitation. The account belonged to a 17-year-old aspiring wrestler, Jacob, before he deleted it. In the conversation, Jacob shared his interest in working as a wrestler one day and asked what steps would be required. I messaged a short list of things he should consider if he was serious. Physique and promo to start. Physique, because as an independent contractor, no one is going to make you train and eat in a way that creates the aesthetic of a believable pro wrestler. And promo, because our job is to sell drama, and you can't rely on someone flipping channels to stop to watch a choreographed fight. You're more likely to grab their attention looking into a camera with a strong and impassioned 30-second monologue. I also inquired about which schools he was closest to in relation to wrestling training, his weight, and his height. Jacob explained how anxious he felt messaging me and asked me to verify that it was really me. I did find it strange because I do have a blue check, but as a lifelong fan, I remember meet and greets in the days I would message wrestlers hoping to be seen, so I chalked it up as innocence and sent them a voice message in my Velveteen Dream voice to keep kayfabe. The full voice message has me asking Jacob about his height, weight, where he trained, and what school he attended, which Jacob answered back with a voice message, and I continued to answer his questions until I politely wrapped up the conversation. April 21st, I woke up to notifications and tags of created screenshots and videos of a conversation that I did not have with Jacob. I immediately contacted WWE's talent relations and social media departments as to begin an investigation. Even after the investigation, WWE released a statement maintaining my innocence. That part that hurt for me was having a personal picture that I've used in my personal life on apps being used to label me as a predator. I am in no way of the word a predator. This is the first and only time I've ever been accused of solicitation to anyone. Until I was accused of being groomed by Joshua Fuller, unlike Jacob, I knew Josh. I met Josh after my stint on Tough Enough at a meet and greet, and we developed a friendship through a mutual trainer at GXW. Josh shared to Twitter screenshots of the first time we communicated through text, an autographed picture from me when we met, An extremely contradictory story. Josh alleged that I made him feel uncomfortable, but contradicts himself twice by saying that I was never sexual towards him. For those willing to research Josh's tweet accusing me, Josh's messages are in blue and mine are in gray. Josh claimed that he was a 16-year-old high school graduate and he takes yearly trips with his friend to Orlando. I doubted what he told me, yet I kept my replies diplomatic and professional. The reality of the situation is that I was very helpful and respectful to Josh. Josh lives with his grandparents in rural southern Maryland. Josh got a concussion in 2017 and against my advice insisted on wrestling. My worry came from Josh severely injuring himself, specifically his brain. I suggested he take time off from training to see a doctor. He declined because he believed he could work through the concussion, and I cut all communication with him in 2018 because I didn't want to be partially responsible had he worsened his injury. So to have him accuse me of predatory behavior because I choose not to help was spiteful. Josh and Jacob are two of many people that I have helped, yet these are the only two who have found me to be malicious and predatory in how I go about helping others. What wasn't shared at the time, one, Josh Fuller reached out to Jacob over social media. Josh put out his own accusation. When this came out, Josh Fuller temporarily deleted its Twitter account, which is important because in all the social media confusion, Josh Fuller is the one who suggested that an investigation had not been done and that he had not been contacted. He deleted his social media after he was outed for being a member of an anti-black group chat. There is a public forum, WWE LPSG stars, where people are buying and selling shared explicit photos and videos of multiple wrestlers, and no one has done anything to have the site taken out. All in all, this entire experience defamed my character and ultimately accomplished what it sought out to do, and was that to see me be released. My hope is that over time, people could put two and two together and realize all the allegations surrounding me were baseless and untrue from the jump. I felt strongly about not needing to defend myself on social media for a while now, but I understand the audience I work for and those who know deserve clarity. I'm thankful for the opportunities afforded to me and the memories I have as a receipt. God has always had me, and he always will. Dream is officially over, but Patrick Clark lives to fight another day. Now, you and I, back in the day, had a pretty heated exchange over this because the one thing that people seem to intentionally leave out of this is that WWE had a legit investigation. There were forensics involved. His phone was forensically, scanned to see if there was any tweets or deletes, if there was, and there was nothing. Not only that, this is something else. Authorities never got involved with this. Why not? When the first accusation came out in the middle of that night, the first people that made the accusation said, maybe he was hacked. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was hacked. Let's see what he has to say. Within 6 hours, he went publicly and said it wasn't me. And it went from, well, maybe he was hacked to, we don't believe you. They claimed that he sexually sent explicit photos. How come nobody went to the cops? How come law enforcement never investigated this? They don't need somebody to file a complaint to investigate something. The fact of the matter is that this guy's phone, as soon as it happened, he contacted WWE. Within 24 hours, they had that phone, and it was sent out to investigators to see if this guy did what he did, and it came back clean. So now he's coming forward, which I personally think he should have done a year ago, but now he's come forward and pretty much said exactly what most of us thought happened a year or so ago. His biggest mistake, in my honest opinion, is to not have DMs open. I don't care how lonely you are. I don't care how nice you are. I don't care how much you want to help people. You're just asking for trouble, especially when it's in the wee hours of the morning. So after he made his statement, I'm not trying to convince you to take one side or the other, but after everything that has happened, and like I said, the facts These people never hired an investigator themselves. They never contacted authorities. If this guy was a pedophile and the people that are underage are saying that they did all this, why did they not do that? And why didn't investigators take it upon themselves after learning about the story online that they didn't investigate this guy? Fact of the matter is, he was investigated and everything came back clear. But for some reason, it feels like cancel culture out there and the people that don't like this guy, they want to be convinced that he is a pedophile instead of being relieved that he's not a pedophile.
You just said nobody investigated, and then you just said he was investigated. Who investigated?
WWE sent it out.
Oh, wait, the same company that fired Enzo?
They're $1 billion. I agree with you about the Enzo thing, but they're $1 billion company. If they hid under the rug somebody who sent to underage people, do you realize the level of trouble WWE would get into? I really don't think in anybody's right mind that, WWE never sent out anything forensic-wise for Enzo. They just let the guy go.
They had an investigation. Absolutely. WWE had an investigation.
Right, but they didn't investigate.
They still fired him.
Right, and that's wrong.
How do you saying, like, one investigation over another? How come this investigation that WWE is doing is 100% accurate, but the one that they did with Enzo was fucked up?
What investigation did they do with Enzo?
Because they were investigating the times that he was actually supposedly sleeping with this underage girl or whatever the fuck it was, Gucci Witch and all that bullshit.
How old was she?
She was.
Anybody remember?
I think she was. I think she was legal,
underage.
I think she was in a mental institution, and supposedly Enzo forced himself on her. Is what the claim was, and then it came out when the receipts popped out with her friend, who pulled up the actual transcripts and said, no, she was proud.
Right, but that's, he said, she said. The accusations against Velveteen Dream had to do with a telephone device.
The he said.
Right.
Yeah, and it had to do with a telephone device with Gucci Witch. That's what actually disproved her. She went on TMZ. She went on, I'm not sure if it was like Fox or another network. She was all over the place, spreading this shit, attaching it to Me Too.
Right, but what forensics could have come back with just a verbal accusation? It's not like Enzo texted her and said, I'm going to rape your ass tonight. You know what I mean? Like, it was the sexual encounter, but it's not that she accused him of, videotaping like illicit stuff against her will and doing this and that. We're talking about an actual telephone device that was being accused of, that's a federal crime to send things like that across state lines also. So Velveteen Dream, that's why, like I say, I don't think a lot of people out there ever bothered to understand how serious it is to sext across state lines and send provocative images to someone underage to another state on top of it. That is some federal shit. And federal is not going to sit back and say, until Joshua contacts us, we can't do anything. Until Jacob contacts us, if they think an adult male sent that through a telephone.
So then why didn't they?
Because WWE
you can't sit there and say that it's you can't say that it's false, that all these accusations were false if nobody got involved to begin with.
WWE got his phone.
Yeah, WWE
They sent it out to an investigator. They did forensics on it. They pulled the text message reports. They pulled the transcripts. A lot of people think you could just tweet and delete or text and delete, and it's gone forever. Everything is saved.
That has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with a government branch. It has nothing to do with any kind of police interference. It has nothing to do with any kind of federal interference. You're saying that, why didn't the police get involved? Well, that's because it's false. Well, the police have to get involved in order to deem it false. A system has to get involved in order to deem it false.
Right.
I'm not going to believe WWE because they said it was false. I'm not going to believe Velveteen Dream or Patrick Clark because he said it was false.
It's $1 billion.
Right. I agree that there should be a government, some kind of fucking federal or state or whatever the fuck involved in it. Until that day, until that happens, you don't know what's right. I don't know what's right.
If it's not true, do you think?
I don't know what it is, but I'm not going to believe anybody at face value.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's not up to me, and it's not up to you.
Right. But I'm saying since nothing has been filed criminally against this guy, us as regular people, do we have the right?
Wait a minute. You already said that it should have already been filed if there was any kind of child predatory action. You think that the federal government is going to sit on their ass? Well, no. They have to fucking do something in order to prove that it's false.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know if law enforcement contacted WWE to see what this forensic report does. Do we have any right to know that? I don't think we do.
Well, he's only saying it was WWE. This is his statement after years. This is his big coming out party, as it were, about the whole situation. And the only interference that he brought up was WWE investigations. Right. He didn't mention the FBI. He didn't mention state police. He didn't mention city police. He didn't mention any other type of investigation other than WWE.
Right.
That doesn't mean shit to me.
Right. But the point is, this is $1 billion company, and people are actually going to accuse WWE to have a legit investigation done, have forensics pulled on the phone, get the text message reports from the cell phone company, which are not easy to get, do all of this, find it clear, and then Triple H is going to publicly lie?
I'm not saying, well, he's not going to lie because he's just saying to the best of his knowledge. You're talking about incriminating.
I'm sure he read the reports that came back.
I don't think that WWE is holding any information back. I don't believe that at all. I think WWE, if the federal government went to WWE and said, give us all the records you know about Patrick Clark, I don't think WWE would stand in their way. They'd be like, here you go.
Right, but I also think they wouldn't tell us either.
No, but here's his point of view. Here's Patrick Clark's point of view. Here's everything that Patrick Clark went into. He's talking about, well, Josh Fuller reached out to Jacob over social media. How does he know that?
Well, it was
there some kind of investigation going on?
There was tweets back and forth. They were all hashtagging each other.
Supposed to be fucking real to begin with. We're supposed to defame the tweets to begin with. That all these tweets are unreal.
No, nobody said that the tweets were unreal. There were screenshots. Remember the screenshots that the image didn't line up perfectly, and then somebody said, well, there's blue. You know, those were I personally think Velveteen Dream should have gone after them criminally. I think Velveteen Dream
I think the law should have been involved. That's what I totally agree. That's what I'm saying. I can't take this seriously because there is no law involved. This isn't coming from a lawyer. This isn't coming from a legal department. This isn't coming from a prosecutor. This is just some guy ranting on a fucking wrestling website about what he's going to tell the world happened.
Right.
I mean,
$1 billion company, $1 billion company, his employer looked into it and sent it out to professionals.
Yeah. He's saying this while he's not working for the $1 million
Triple
employer.
H made the statement that investigation was done. They found nothing.
It's from Velveteen Dream. What are you talking about?
Triple H did an interview last year and said there was an investigation done and there was nothing found. Yeah. Okay. I think it was August 2020.
That's still nothing to me. It's not the law, dude. I'm sorry. Companies hide shit all the time. I'm not saying that they're trying to do it purposely. You know, but I'm sorry. I'm just not going to believe a page rant from a guy who was accused about him being innocent.
I will always be left with this. There's an old saying that your first reaction to something is usually your most honest. And I think when the photo first came out, you know, when you got this guy on a website, How to Ruin an End, you know, and it happens to be the same night that all his stuff is being accused.
I'm not defending the kids either.
I know. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that this is what I'm always left with. That if some adult, if I'm a kid underage and some adult just sent me all this provocative stuff, the last place I would be is on a website, a forum that's called How to Ruin an N, you know, the N word. And I would be talking to my mom, my dad, law enforcement, my friends. I would put everything.
Stop at law enforcement. Just stop at law enforcement.
Yeah,
That's where
law enforcement.
This entire story, DT, doesn't even need us talking about it.
Why
this
to
entire
this
story
day
should have ended at law enforcement?
Why to this day has neither one of those guys ever contacted cops?
Why didn't Patrick Clark? Why didn't WWE contact the police?
But no, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because those two kids didn't commit a crime against WWE. And I don't know if they would have committed a crime. It might have been a lawsuit, but I don't know if they committed a crime accusing them of that. It could be a lawsuit. But what I'm saying is that what Velveteen Dream was accused of, was 20 years in jail. Why did neither one of these underage, after all of this time, how come none of them ever said, let's just give it to an investigator and put it in their hands? I think to this day, the reason why they never did that was because it was not true. And that if you send it out to an investigator, the investigator is going to come back and say, not only is it not true, but you forged all this stuff. By them not going to an investigator, it'll never be proven that they forged stuff.
Yeah, but you're saying that you're already convicting them. You're saying that these kids are not true because that's why I never went to an investigator. You don't know. Until an actual fucking investigator got involved, DT,
right.
We really don't know.
Sent it out to all
of this up here, all this entire Patrick Clark testimony could all be bullshit. It could 100% be bullshit. It could.
I live in a country where you're innocent until proven guilty. And the only people that we're aware of that actually seek the truth was WWE.
But you have to go to court to prove someone innocent. You don't just sit there and say, well, you're innocent.
Yeah, but
wait
a minute. But a court also has to accuse you of charges so you prove to be innocent. No court has ever accused Velveteen Dream of doing anything. It's the court of public opinion has.
My point is that there should have been an investigation by federal or state or city. It makes no sense to me that you have the potential of at least 2 victims that we know of that could have been involved in this, and there was never an official investigation. I'm sorry, I don't consider WWE an official investigation. It's a company investigation, but it's not an official one. You're talking about running his phone and stuff like that. Have the CIA or the FBI or whoever else deals with. They're going to waste
their time every time somebody accuses someone of a text message.
Yeah. If somebody's trying to do child porn, somebody's trying to rape a kid. Yeah, that's probably a good reason for an investigation.
I don't know if it went to that level because, like I said, the only audio file that's ever been revealed was what school did you go to. If that audio file would have been, why don't you send me a picture of yourself?
That's all? I think that there's so much more. I think that there's a lot more that we don't know and we're not supposed to know. And it should go to a court. It should be investigated by actual authorities. It's not.
It hasn't. Why hasn't it?
I understand that. So then you can't sit there and say, well, I guess you didn't do anything to anybody. It's completely sane, completely innocent.
All I know is that if I accuse someone of doing something criminal to me, I'm going to authorities. I'm not going to tweet it for likes and retweets and followers.
I'm not going to go to my boss and say, hey, can you do an investigation on me and tell everybody that I'm okay?
No, he went to WWE.
That's what he did. Listen, he went to WWE.
Yeah, he went to WWE because the next day they're like, what's this all about? And he's like, look, they're accusing me of this stuff and I didn't do this. Here's my phone. You could get it, investigate and everything. I didn't do this. And WWE wanted to make sure that they didn't have an adult male sending provocative images to underage kids. So they sent it out to an investigator who does forensics, that is non-biased, that's not a wrestling fan or anything like that. They probably paid quite a bit of money to do that as well. They also had to solicit the records from the cell phone company to get the transcripts of the tweets, and they found nothing.
I'm not going to slander WWE, but they have a history of doing some pretty scandalous shit and covering up some things over the years. So pardon me if I don't feel like a WWE investigation holds any fucking water in the court of public opinion. In the court of any opinion. I wouldn't be surprised if they just threw all of the information that WWE had away if this ever ended up with the authorities in a court.
I say after all of this time, since these two kids, and this was something I said back in the day also, and anybody tuning in can do this right now. Doesn't have to be this Jacob or this Joshua kid. Doesn't have to be WWE. It doesn't have to be Velveteen Dream. Doesn't even have to be a cop. Any of you out there could go right on the cyber crimes, whatever that website is for the government, for cyber crimes, and if you believe that someone had sent provocative images to a minor, you could leave the information anonymous and they would look into it. And no one has ever done that. And I think the reason being is because if it comes back to be not true, some people could be in a hell of a lot of trouble. What I want to know.
Sure, but don't you think that, okay, I'll swing the door in your direction. Let's say everything that Patrick said here is 1,000% right. Why didn't he go to the authorities? You're telling me because there might be a lawsuit. No, he's not only being slandered, but there's also a case that he might have committed assault or some kind of cyber crime against these kids. Why didn't he go to the authorities? Why didn't he turn in all the information?
Nobody asked for it.
WWE, not fuck WWE investigations. Why didn't he go to the police? That's what I'm saying. Look,
police
just because you're not, if you're accused of a crime, you can still go to the police in goodwill and tell them everything that's going on. You can be forthcoming of something before the accusers come in.
They're not going to open a case because if I accuse you of stealing
child predator, yeah,
wait a minute. If I accuse you of stealing $1,000 from me, or if you accuse me of sending you sexual images underage,
right,
and you accuse me online, and I didn't know I didn't do it. If I walk into a precinct right now and say, listen, I'm online, and somebody's accusing me of sending them images, and they're underage.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you this.
You're telling me the police would make a report of that?
No, you know what the police would say? Go get a lawyer.
No, they'd make a fucking report. Are you kidding me?
Report out of what? Report out of somebody's accusing me of sending them nudes.
Child porn? Dude, child porn is fucking illegal, period.
Who do you put as a plaintiff? A teenager?
No, the parents. The parents become legal.
I don't know who the parents are.
Well, you know who the teenager is, right?
If somebody accuses you of doing something and you didn't do it, it's the accuser. There's something in this law is you have the right to confront your accuser. It's not the other way around. You don't go to law enforcement and say, hey, prove that I'm not guilty.
I disagree. You absolutely make a report, especially if it's for a fucking federal crime too. You absolutely make a report.
Somebody accused me of shooting somebody in the head. Listen,
I'm going right to the cops and say, I didn't fucking do it. Here's everything that I know. I just want you to know this. Here's my phone number. Here's my home address. If something comes up,
what are they going to do? Contact the accuser?
An investigation. Yeah.
An investigation that an accuser is not even accused someone of.
Well, they obviously
Patrick Clark can't go to federal authorities and say this 15-year-old accused me of sending him nudes, and I'm sending it to you now because I didn't do it.
I don't know. You can make a report.
No complaint has ever been filed.
You yeah, you can make a report too. I'm sorry that you don't think that, but you can. Absolutely. And especially about a crime. You can make reports about crimes that haven't happened yet, DT. You can make reports about crimes that haven't happened yet.
That's asinine.
It's not asinine, because if they come true, then they have your information already down.
If you didn't send nudes to someone and someone is writing it on a tweet, if I go to cops and say somebody on Twitter is accusing me of sending them nudes and I didn't do it, cops what are they going to do? How the people aren't even asking law enforcement and be investigating them. They would say, go get a lawyer.
All right.
You know, I personally think what I want to know out of all of this, I want to know if WWE told Velveteen Dream not to say anything. I want to know if they put a stranglehold on this for the last year and said, look, don't acknowledge this, don't talk about it, we'll say something publicly. And I think, they thought it was going to just mull over after Triple H made his statement. And obviously, like you said, which is a fair point, a lot of people online are not satisfied with just WWE doing an investigation because who knows. But the thing is I wonder if WWE told this man not to say anything, because that's really fucked up. Because if this guy's in a situation like, look, I'm going to go along and not say anything because I don't want to lose my job over this, and I don't want to, because look, you think WWE wants to, that's what happened with Enzo. There was so much controversy around Enzo, even though he didn't do anything wrong, that they just let the guy go. And you and I are in 100% agreement that we always thought Enzo had a good wrongful termination lawsuit. But he never went that route.
He did not.
But I want to know if WWE told him to keep quiet.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, I know we went a little over time, but I know this was something that everybody was very interested in hearing us talk. And that's what I absolutely love about this guy, because it's nothing personal. No one is wrong. No one is right. That's the one thing. When I went through high school and stuff, I hated debate. I tried to run the other way from debate. I love having debates. And, over the years, you try to have debates with people, and some people, you lose an argument and they take it really, really personal. Here, it's just we're giving our honest feelings on it. There is no right or wrong. It's a fucked up situation nonetheless, but, it's just.
I think that's one thing that everybody can agree on. It is a fucked up situation because either the kids are complete fucking liars or this has been a horrible cover up. Either way, it's a fucked up situation. Doesn't matter which side you pick. It's fucked up either way.
Nobody wins. Not even a cancel culture that convicted him from day one. Nobody wins.
And even though Patrick came out with this statement, I think far too long, far too late, it doesn't do anything to help him. I don't really feel like this statement did anything to help him. It didn't help him. I don't see this in any way being better for his future career. Now, let me ask you this, and this has nothing to do with our debate, but now that all this is done and he has his statement out there, what is the likelihood of Patrick Clark getting a job in another TV promotion?
Well, I think no matter where he goes, he's going to get, the promoters are going to get a little bit of bullshit. I don't know if it's going to be on the level of the Joey Ryan stuff, because I think people at the end of the day say, look, there really is no proof against this guy. And, what he's saying kind of, it does coincide with everything that went down at that time. So you'll always have a big amount of cancel culture that will, like fresh meat. The minute a promoter announces him appearing, how could you have a pedophile on your show, this and that? And the promoter's got to be strong enough to be willing to deal with that. I have a very controversial view on some that I haven't been made public yet. But I think if people really think about what I'm going to say right now, they'll understand where I'm going with it. There is certain types of promotions out there that are targeted for a specific audience. And I think that if he becomes part of one of those shows, and I'm not talking about gay or anything like that, but I think cancel culture would probably be a little bit more reserved to say anything, because you're not going to go against an entire promotion. There are promotions out there that have a specific audience in mind that people would never ever accuse of being racist or confronted this and that. And I think, promotion like that, he might have a better shot. The stuff with Alberto El Patron, like Andrade got some bullshit and, because he's going to work a match with Alberto El Patron, who's still obviously facing trial. But, the promotion itself as a whole, they all went along with it. So they dealt with the heat and they moved on. I think eventually he will get work. He's never going to be able to get over this unless he decides to go after these two kids. I mean, obviously they're older now. I don't know how much older they are, but, he may have to go after them. He may have to go after them.
They're both legal age now.
Yeah, so he might have to go after them. My honest opinion, he may have to go after them, even though that might look fucked up to some people, like, wow, he's going after his accusers, because that's what happened with Joey Ryan. He hit everybody with these crazy lawsuits, and a lot of accusers couldn't afford to get lawyers for that. But We'll see what happens. But I think he will eventually get work. But whoever that first promotion is, he might be better off going overseas. He might be better off going overseas. He might be better off because the overseas promotions, he'd be like, fuck you. They probably wouldn't even acknowledge it. A little bit. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Mish, much love. Thank you for hanging out a little bit extra tonight. I'll definitely talk to you tomorrow. It is off the cuff tomorrow, so we'll have an easy show.
Absolutely. Much love, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Take care. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed the show. I knew we were going to have a really nice debate on this one, and that's what I love with this guy. We can get into it deep, have our really strong views about stuff, and we don't take it personally. We don't get mad at each other. We're very passionate in our views, and we butt heads sometimes, but that's the wonderful thing about it is have great discussion, because there's a lot of people out there that wouldn't dare, go this deep into discussions like this. But I hope you all enjoyed it. Anyway, I'm going to jet out of here. As always, if you don't mind, if you enjoyed today's show, smash that like button. Why is that so small today? I don't know why it's so small, but smash that like button. For my Patreon family, it worked today. Wow, all right. For my Patreon family, don't forget, tomorrow night, 10:05 p.m. Eastern, right after NXT, Mish and I will be on Patreon Discord doing Breakfast Soup Live. We will talk about NXT. We will talk about a few other things going down as well.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcast.
Every time I try to do this ending, as an outro, because people were asking for it, it seems to always screw up. I don't know why. But Dream will be back in the WWE? Maybe, but not for a very long time. But anything is possible. That's more like it, right? So I'm going to jet out of here. Everyone have a great night. Again, if you're around tomorrow night, patreon.com/Don Tony. I'm sure Mish and I will probably pick up from this conversation and maybe get into it a little bit further. Maybe not. We'll see. And then if you're around Wednesday, don't forget 8 p.m. Eastern Wednesday. Not 10:05. We're going to start at 8 because there is no wrestling on Wednesday night. So I will talk about NXT on Wednesday. We'll have maybe some combo with AEW, maybe some Q&A. We'll mix in with there as well. And then this Friday for the Don Tony Show, I'll get into SmackDown. We'll do a little bit of live review of AEW as it's going down. I don't expect a lot of earth-shattering stuff to come out of Friday. More of a build for Sunday's pay-per-view. And I'll do predictions on Friday as well. So we have a fun week, a little bit, different programming. But all in all, I'm really looking forward to it. So everyone, have a great night. And yeah, this better work this time. So my video outro, since everybody enjoys it, mostly everybody. So have a great night, everyone. Much love as always. Thank you for the support. Be well.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.